Grandstand. ABC's Grandstand. On radio, online, and on digital radio.
This to win the grand final for Brisbane.
Grandstand A-League.
Vukovic to try and force extra time. Barisha strikes. Score!
The A-League.
The battle for supremacy in Australian football. Let it commence.
This is ABC Grandstand's coverage of the A-League.
This is ABC Grandstand's coverage of this year's grand final as well. It's a massive game this afternoon in front of a massive crowd at the Sydney Football Stadium. It's the Western Sydney Wanderers taking on the Central Coast Mariners. And out in front of us here, in front of myself, Ned Hall, and Paul Wade alongside me, it is a real picture. It's a sea of colour. One of the great things about this season in the A-League is the way that people have taken on the colours of their team, and everyone is bedecked in their colours today. The yellow and blue of the Central Coast Mariners and the red and the black of the Western Sydney Wanderers. And we're still waiting for the all clear from the sideline to actually get underway here this afternoon. We're approaching 4:10 here in Sydney, and we're still waiting for them to actually give the all clear to get underway. You can hear the Mariners fans as well trying to fire back. There's plenty of those sat around the box in front of where we're commentating from at the moment, and we still haven't quite got the all clear to get underway. But looking at the TV monitors up ahead of us now, they're focusing on the referee as well, so I think he's going to get the all clear, and we'll get the whistle to get things underway here at the Sydney Football Stadium this afternoon. Shinji Ono and Dino Kresinger standing over the ball, and that's it. We're off here at the Sydney Football Stadium. Ball roll back to Nikolai Topol-Stanley. He drives that ball downfield straight away, looking for Dino Kresinger, who gets straight up and challenges with Trent Sainsbury. The ball skids off the young defender's head, goes back to his veteran partner Patrick Zwanswijk, and an early touch for the Matt Ryan, all in pink this afternoon, who side foots it down the field. Michael Beecham, early touch for him for the Mariners, their skipper. And he lifts it downfield, and challenging for the ball is Aaron Moy, back into the side after a few weeks on the sideline. Has the ball back at his feet once again from Shinji Ono. Goes down the right-hand touchline to Jerome Polens. Moy has it back once more. Moy lifts it to the edge of the box. Api Akubi's there. Can pull it back. Fires it into the middle. It comes off Zwanswijk's head, and that's a corner kick straight away. Straight away, instant dividends for the Western Sydney Wanderers down that right-hand touchline, and a half chance for them.
Yeah, usually it's Hernetsy down that right-hand side. But Akubi's been given a very important role today, because Polens will overlap. If he doesn't coordinate that, they might get caught in their defensive third.
Shinji Ono will stand over this corner kick on the right-hand side for the Western Sydney Wanderers. Ono's there. He's a little run from Bridge, dropping short for him, and Bridge might throw the ball into the middle. Instead he goes back towards Aaron Moy, and Boy plays it back out to the touchline to Ono. Still plenty of red and black in the middle. It's fired into the box, pushed behind, and appeals from everybody pretty much in the box there, I think, for the corner or the penalty. It goes behind. It's another corner kick to the Western Sydney Wanderers. Another decent delivery then. Some early pressure for the side that finished on top of the table at the end of the regular season, and again Shinji Ono will go across to take this ball.
Yeah, he puts it into dangerous positions. He's brilliant with the ball at his feet, but geez, he knows how to pass the ball.
He certainly does. The ball's at his feet now. Plays it in towards the back post. The flag's gone straight up. It had gone out over the line, and so it'll be a goal kick to the Central Coast Mariners. And I'm sure they'd be quite keen to get a bit of a breather here and play the ball away down to the other end of the field and play some football in the Wanderers' half. And Amanda, noise fairly constant down on the sideline where you are?
Well, with the red and black block, I was actually having a look at their Facebook page, and they say if you're going to sit with us, you have to be chanting and singing and on your feet for the entire 90 minutes. So that is what they are doing. They're all 100% committed. There's been flares going off already.
They have, and there's been plenty of flags flying around in there. And I'm just saying, on what Amanda was saying then, they look like they are standing right the way round the end of that part of the SFS as well. So we're going to hear that noise all afternoon, and the flags all afternoon, and the Mariners fans are standing away to our right as well, as the ball just goes out for a throw into the Western Sydney Wanderers on the right-hand edge of the field. Jerome Polens into the starting lineup again tonight. A big gamble for me, Paul. We talked about this earlier on today, that he couldn't complete the game last week, and he's a big player for them, and he limped out of last week's game, ran around like an idiot after the match and celebrated when they got presented with the Premier's play, and yet he's been chosen to start again.
I don't think that's a bad thing. Adrenaline is, well, it can solve lots and lots of problems, and I can't imagine that he's not going to get up and down that. And at the end of the day, Popovic has got a few subs he can throw on, and plenty of them who can do exactly the same thing, including Haliti.
Exactly, and Labino Haliti, who's played some key moments so far this season for the Western Sydney Wanderers, who are on the back foot at the moment. Ball fed forward by Joshua Rose down the left-hand flank, headed clear by Michael Beecham, now picked up by Apia Kubi. And Apia Kubi, ball at his feet, pushes it down the touchline, starts running and tries to run the outside of Joshua Rose, shoulder to shoulder, goes to ground, and the referee says play on, and Apia Kubi gets to his feet and keeps going. Peter Green let the advantage flow then, and it almost broke for the Western Sydney Wanderers, and eventually the Mariners bring it clear. McBreen plays it on to McGlinchey. McGlinchey goes cross-field. Great ball for Pedge Bowych. Shannon Cole comes across and cuts him down. Back he goes towards Bernie Abini. Abini with the ball at his feet. Back he goes to Bowych on the right-hand side. That's a key combination too for the Mariners, and Bowych goes past Cole. Back to Abini. Abini right foot shot, falling away, slices up in the air, and it goes way over the bar and behind for a goal kick. But instantly we see then the Mariners hitting back. Great attack on the right-hand side and great combination work from them.
Absolutely. You know what I've enjoyed in the first couple of minutes? Nobody has had any time on the ball, and the two guys that have smacked balls 50 yards onto a sixpence to change the angle of attack. It is there's no wonder these two are the best in the country. They have all the options.
4.5 minutes played here at the Sydney Football Stadium. The A-League Grand Final on 702 ABC Sydney and 92.5 ABC Central Coast as well. Ned Hall, Paul Wade and Amanda Shalala bringing you all the action this afternoon as Shannon Cole just gets an arm around his shoulder then from Tony Popovich, I think just to calm him down, because he did dart in a little bit with Pedge Bowych, and I think he's going to be under a fair bit of pressure this afternoon, Shannon Cole, from the likes of Abini and Bowych.
He copped an absolute hiding the last time they played. In fact, he's had a few problems every time he's played because he's not played regularly.
Yeah, he's been a bit in and out, Shannon Colby. Big job this afternoon as the ball's played in towards the Wanderers box. Nikolai Topor-Stanley came in and intercepted the ball, and it looked like it may have gone through towards Ante Kovic. As it is, it was played away by the Wanderers up towards the halfway line, and out it goes for a throw into the Mariners just about on the halfway line. If you do want to get in touch with us, you can send us an SMS 0467 920 222. I'll try and say that again and use proper numbers this time. 0467 920 222 as the ball's played forward by Pedge Bowych, looking for McBreen, who hurls himself in towards Shannon Cole. And Shannon Cole took evasive action, got out the way. McBreen, who's not a small bloke, went flying over his shoulder, ended in a crumpled heap on the floor. He's up and about and moving around again as Polens plays the ball forward for the Wanderers, overhits the pass, and it goes through to Matthew Ryan, who bowls it out underarm. And the Mariners, who do like to play it out from the back and pass the ball away, are doing exactly that at the moment. And it's Vanswijk who slides it up to the halfway line onto Joshua Rose. Neat interchange of passing between Rose and McGlinchey, and eventually the ball goes on again towards Mile Stajovski. Played away from Stajovski by Beecham, but throw taken quickly, taken off the chest of Stajovski, back to McGlinchey. He'll want to run at people. Josh Rose has it back now. He goes forward, runs around Moy, still going Rose. Challenge from Polens. Rose goes to ground. The referee says that's a free kick just outside the penalty area, left-hand edge about 4 metres up from the byline. Very good attacking position for the Mariners.
Well, you know what? If there's anything that the Western Sydney Wanderers are good at, it's hitting the ball in the air defensively. They have got some tall timber in that area, so don't expect this one, especially with Kovic as well, with his hands up in the air, to hit a Mariners head.
Mariners chant going up around the stadium, and a few cheers from the Wanderers fans as the ball swung in from the right by McGlinchey to the back post. Sainsbury went in and challenged with Topor-Stanley, still not played away. Eventually Bridge gets there, gets a boot to the ball just ahead of Trent Sainsbury, and out that goes for a throw. And that was a great delivery from that set piece, and Nikolai Topor-Stanley had to be on his mettle there as John Hutchinson will take this throw in level with the penalty spot, launches it in towards the 6-yard box, and Shannon Cole heads it clear. Dino Cressinger's second clearance wasn't a great one. It only went as far as Patrick Vanswijk, who tried a shot from 35-40 metres out, couldn't keep it down, although he felt it was deflected over the bar. The referee disagreed and he gives a goal kick.
Yeah, frustrating from Cressinger. He had all the time and space in the world. He was facing his own goal. He was about 25 yards. He could have taken it down and turned, maybe found Bridge, but he's flicked it on. It's gone straight back to Vanswijk. That's going to be frustrating. He needs to get hold of that ball. He's the only one up front.
Now Stajovski pushing forward for the Mariners, looked to have a ball played in towards him, but McGlinchey, Bozanic was trying to play it into his path. He hit it too far wide right, and the ball was back briefly with the Wanderers, although the Mariners have it back once again. Bozanic goes up and challenges in the middle of the field with Poljak, and now Cressinger comes away with the ball away from McBreen, who hooked a leg around him, and then Cressinger ran around Vanswijk. Vanswijk protesting fairly strongly to the referee here that Cressinger took a little bit of a dive and a bit of a tumble over his leg, and to be honest I think he's probably right, as Cressinger nudged the ball past him, was never going to get that one, and he went down to ground a little bit easily.
That is embarrassing.
Yes. Long ball played forward, Stojowski's onto it, over Kovic, it lands on the top of the bar and goes behind for a goal kick. Well, Mile Stojowski was millimetres away then from giving his side the lead. That was not a Central Coast Mariners typical move. Long ball played forward, over the top. Stojowski got in behind the defenders, got there before Kovic, who hesitated on the edge of his box. He might have had to come out and make the challenge on Stojowski, allowed Stojowski to get the ball away. He just lifted it over the goalkeeper, and unfortunately for him, onto the top of the bar.
You know what? Graham Arnold has picked Stojowski for that very reason. Duke is the other option, and I'm not quite sure he's aggressive with his runs off the ball. That time, Topper Stanley and Beecham got caught square, didn't they?
Doesn't happen very often to the guys at the back for the Western Sydney Wanderers, the most miserly defence in the competition, but the former Derby County man did it then as the ball's played into the edge of the Mariners box, headed clear by the Mariners. In towards Cressinger it goes again, he stabs it out towards the left-hand touchline, and Bridge will bring it down. Lobbed up in the air, turns and fires across towards the middle and just fires it straight at Pedge Bowick, who bounces back off Bowick and out over the sideline for a throw-in, which Shannon Cole will take. We have no score here, 9.5 minutes played here at the Sydney Football Stadium. The A-League Grand Final on 702 Sydney and 92.5 ABC Central Coast, as it's thrown in by Cole. Has it back at his feet again, looks to take on Bowick. Bowick just stands his ground in his way, stumps his foot into the floor, the ball bounces off him, and another throw which Cole will take. He's looking for a bit of movement in front of him. There's not a lot happening at the moment. Shinji Ono makes a little run down towards the corner flag, but there's pretty much nobody else there, and I think a bit of frustration here for Shannon Cole, who just tries to throw it in behind the defenders and in for Shinji Ono on the goal line, and Matt Ryan came out, plucked it out of the air and quickly got it away down here field, where Stojowski's tussling for the ball with Michael Beecham. Felt he was being impeded by the Wanderers captain. Referee disagreed, and Beecham has the ball now at his feet, goes across the back line to Nick Topor Stanley. Topor Stanley just looking for a bit of again, a bit of movement in front of him, not much doing, so he goes back, and the Wanderers patient here. Poljak has the ball at his feet. The Mariners giving them very little to work with at the moment, so the Wanderers take their time. So attacking that end away to our left, where the Wanderers fans are based. It's forward towards Polens. Polens goes long cross field and too close to the goalkeeper in the end. As just noticed Tony Popovich giving some applause to Jerome Polens. I think he wants his fullbacks to get forward. That's a key part of what they want to do, and I think the fact that Polens, maybe with a few nagging worries about an injury, hasn't been doing that. He was pleased to see him do it then, as good work from Cressinger, who was shoulder to shoulder with Sainsbury, takes the ball away from him. Bernie Abini tackles back well and kicks it out over the sideline for a throw. But that's the core of what Western Sydney do, pushing from the front. The ball is with Mateo Poljak. He goes cross field, great ball from him towards Polens. Polens has Apia Kubi down the line in front of him. Apia Kubi spins away from Rose, taking him on, trying to get to the byline. Josh Rose stands his ground very, very well, and then plays a left-footed ball away downfield. And Michael Beecham was being fouled by Mile Stojowski. We've seen Apia Kubi now a couple of times, and both times, ball at his feet, he's taken on the defender.
We love that, don't we? Josh Rose, if he thought he was going to have an easy time this afternoon because there was no Hersey, forget it. But again, these two teams, they weren't, because there's so much pressure on the guy with the ball, they move it so quickly. We've seen at least half a dozen balls hit 50 yards from both teams.
Long ball played forward by Topper Stanley, looking for the head of Cressinger. It comes off Cressinger's head, but it bounces all the way through then towards Matt Ryan, and no one following up from the Western Sydney Wanderers. It's 12 minutes gone here at the Sydney Football Stadium, and a couple of people have been in touch with us as well on the SMS line, 0467 920 222, including Tim, who says, on your Wanderers, good luck all the boys, smash the Mariners. So I think that actually sums up the respect for one side, and also still wanting the Mariners to get on and win. And there is a good feeling between these two sets of supporters here this afternoon. I think plenty of respect between the two teams, as Polens has a throw-in on the right-hand touchline just inside the Mariners' half. Goes forward towards Apia Kubi. His first touch was poor. Aaron Moy goes sliding in and makes a strong challenge. The ball bounces infield from him towards Bernie Abini, who didn't do particularly well in bringing it down, and I think copped a boot on the either the arm or the thigh as a result of that, and is moving a little bit gingerly across the field as a result. The Mariners do have the ball again, though, at the back with John Hutchinson, and he goes across towards Patrick Zwarndijk. Cressinger goes to close him down, but his ball forward was a poor one. Josh Rose was stood on his heels And again, as you were just saying before, the similarity between the two sides. Fullbacks getting forward's a big thing. Bowick does it all the time down the right. Rose does it a lot down the left, but on that occasion when he didn't, they didn't really have an outball.
Yeah, look, in the middle of the park too, I'm interested in that one. We've got Ono standing between the midfield and strikers.
As the ball's played in towards Kresingham on the edge of the box, and both Sainsbury and Zwanswijk were there to nod the ball away from him. And Bozanic now picks the ball up, plays it forward, and Topor Stanley went the wrong side of Stojowski. Stojowski gets the ball in behind him, right hand edge of the box, looking for some support now. He's got it from Bernie Abini. Abini has Cole in front of him. Bowick on the overlap. Abini cuts in field. He might try and unleash a left foot strike here. It comes back off the heels of Miles Stojowski, and Bridge picks it up. Now Bridge has been quiet so far, but a chance for him to have the ball at his feet and run forward. And Appy Akubi is hurtling down that right hand touchline. Wants the ball played in front of him to use that pace to take on Joshua Rose. Little step over here and there, doing a very much a Youssef Hersey type job down to the byline, trying to swing the cross into the middle. It bounces back off the feet of Hersey and Rose, and now it's played away by Patrick Zwanswijk. And good work from Appy Akubi, though, desperately keen to take on his man. Hutchinson has the ball now for the Mariners. Breakneck stuff here at the Sydney Football Stadium, still scoreless with 14 minutes played. Bozanic has the ball for the Mariners. Plays it across to the left-hand touchline to Joshua Rose. Appy Akubi's quickly over there to close him down, so he goes back to Zwanswijk. And he plays along the back line to young Trent Sainsbury. Sainsbury, he played it out towards Pedge Bowick, but played it at 2 metres to his right, and Bowick couldn't get anywhere near that one, so it's a throw to the Western Sydney Wanderers. And again, Shannon Cole getting a little rev up on the sideline from Tony Popovic. A few words of encouragement in his ear.
There is nothing worse than that, being on the coach's side. God bless him, Eddie Thompson used to do the same thing to a few fullbacks, and it annoyed the living daylights out of us.
Jerome Polen's on the overlap here, gets down towards the byline, into the box, tries to get across into the middle. It just bobbles away from his feet, and Zwanswijk gets a half clearance in. Eventually now the Mariners bring it away through McBreen, who's having the ball, pinballing in between him and Aaron Moy. Bit of an Irish jig going over there on the sideline. Eventually the linesman decides that that's a throw in to the Western Sydney Wanderers. Shinji Ono gets the ball thrown into him, plays it back to Polenz down near the corner flag, lifts across into the middle. It's a poor delivery. It goes over the top of the goal and behind for a goal kick. But at the moment, both sides not quite hitting their mark. Though you can see exactly what they're trying to do, and they're nearly nailing it, but not quite.
Yeah, it's that front third for both of them, but that's only because of the pressure from the opposition. My biggest concern now for the Western Sydney Wanderers is Beecham and Topor Stanley. You've got Stojowski standing right on their shoulder, so one ball and it's a 50-50 sprint, and right now Stojowski's winning every one of them.
Ball onto the right touchline with Bowick for the Mariners, trying to take on Shannon Cole, who knocks the ball away from his toes and then appealed strongly that it had come off the feet of Pedge Bowick, which the officials weren't having, so it goes out for a Mariners throw, which Bowick takes, gives to Sainsbury. He goes cross field. That's a great ball from him, and Josh Rose has made that run down the left-hand touchline. A left foot cross from him over McBreen and headed away by Shannon Cole, otherwise it would have dropped for a Bernie Abini. Now Bowick chips one beautifully over the head of Mark Bridge and down to the byline, lifts across into the middle. Topor Stanley's there, big boot underneath it, side foots it away, drops out over the touchline just in front of Amanda Shulala down on the sideline. Sorry Amanda, we haven't brought you in an awful lot so far. It's been that quick.
It's been incredibly frenetic, hasn't it? And you can just see the desperation from both teams. Their execution hasn't always been 100%, but on their faces they're so hungry to get to the ball. They want to win the contest, and neither of them are giving an inch.
Yeah, there's very little in it so far in this game. Nearly 17 minutes played, is still scoreless here at the Sydney Football Stadium. Just had an SMS in on 0467920 from Adam. Loving the coverage, gents. Listen to the commentary on a live stream from a hotel room in Berlin. Come on, you Wanderers. Far-flung Wanderers fans, and probably disappointed not to be here this afternoon, but a hotel room in Berlin will have to do as the Mariners push forward, ball into the box then, and Kovac, big, loud shout, takes the ball just above his head and then bowls it out underarm to Mateo Poljak, who goes running forward through the centre circle, being closed down and nudged off the ball by Miles Stojowski, fairly according to the referee, gives it on to McBreen, and Poljak goes chasing back after the ball to try and redeem the error of losing the ball. Abini now goes forward and tries to run into a gap that really wasn't there in between Mateo Poljak and Shannon Cole. The ball was hammered away by Nikolai Topor Stanley downfield, and again another decent position for the Mariners as the Wanderers get into full voice in the red and black block. Away to our left now, for the first time really this afternoon, they've really found their voices to try and give their side a lift. They may be needed here as well, because this is a good opportunity for the Central Coast Mariners. Bozanic will take this one. Right-hand side of the penalty box, a few metres up from the top of it. Everybody back in the penalty area for the Western Sydney Wanderers. Bozanic, left foot delivery, in towards the back post, headed back across the face of goal and side-footed behind by Mateo Poljak for a first corner of the afternoon for the Central Coast Mariners. I think we'll have to lift our own decibel level as well, Paul, in here to make ourselves heard now. It's what a lot of people have come here to see this afternoon is the Western Sydney Wanderers, red and black block in full voice, but the Mariners have been matching them so far, and a bit to sing about too, as the ball swung into the box and Abini was just beaten to the ball by Jerome Polens, and then Shinji Ono brings it down, a left foot ball away downfield. Mark Bridge will go running onto that one. He can break down the left-hand flank, takes it on his thigh. Pedge Bowic is going back. Bridge cuts in field from him, some red and black shirts joining him. Kresinger's there, it skids across the front of Dino Kresinger's head. That was a great chance for them, and a superbly quick break downfield from the Western Sydney Wanderers. Tony Popovic tried to head it in on the sideline as well. Dino Kresinger, though, just didn't get enough on the ball, and it went behind for a goal kick.
Oh, two beautiful bits of play. That long one down the left-hand side. Bridge, he's not slow. I thought he was at the start of the season. He's picked up a couple of yards, and what a gorgeous ball to Kresinger. He's only scored 2 this season. He got a cracker a week ago, and he could have made an absolute legend of himself at this club right there.
And when the Wanderers unleash that chant, who do we sing for? We sing the Wanderers, their fans. It's absolutely spine-tingling.
Yeah. Just to say, on demand as well at the moment, as the Mariners push forward, and it looks like they may have won themselves another corner kick, this time on the left-hand side of the field. And you also see the difference in the number of supporters in the ground, because there are Wanderers fans standing to their feet now and waving the scarves and flags all around their heads. In fact, it wasn't a corner kick then for the Mariners. It's a throw-in on the left-hand touchline into McBreen by McGlinchey. McGlinchey has it at his feet, taking on Polens. Back up the line he goes towards Oliver Bozanic. Scoreless here, 20 minutes played at the football stadium. The A-League Grand Final, version 8, season 2012-2013. The Western Sydney Wanderers against the Central Coast Mariners, who have the ball at the moment on the halfway line. Through Patrick Zwanswijk, lifts it forward. Stajowski had drifted away on the right-hand side, away from Topol Stanley, who wanted him to be given offside. The linesman didn't oblige. Ball into the box, and Topol Stanley heads it away from Pedge Bowic's cross. John Hutchinson clears up, gives it back to the feet of Sainsbury. Sainsbury plays it forward onto the head this time of Topol Stanley, and nodded clear onto the chest. Now it goes of Oliver Bozanic. Bozanic brings the ball down, rolls it wide towards Patrick Zwanswijk, and Zwanswijk has the ball at his feet once more, and on he goes to Sainsbury now. Young Trent Sainsbury, one of a couple of players who weren't in the Mariners lineup, weren't involved last time in 2011, the last time they lost in a grand final. He and Mile Stajowski weren't involved on that day, as one man who was Green has the ball played in towards him. He collides with Jerome Polens, and Polens has stayed down on the ground. He's got up now and is chasing after the ball. I don't think that was the same injury he had before. I'll describe it further later. But McGlinchey has the ball knocked away from his toe by Api Akubi, and then tries to turn it upfield. It hits Api Akubi on the leg and bounces behind over the line, this time for a corner kick, the second of the afternoon for the Central Coast Mariners.
You know what, the Wanderers supporters might be making more noise, but I think for those who are actually paying attention to the game, they're the ones who are under pressure every time the Central Coast go forward. Yeah,
absolutely, and another opportunity now for the Mariners. It's a similar pattern to the game we saw, though, on the Central Coast. It's flicked into the middle, bounces back off Stajowski, appeals for a handball from the Mariners fans and also from Shannon Cole, as the ball's into the back post, headed away by Topol Stanley, not very well. Back into the box, it might drop for Sainsbury. Trent Sainsbury wished he was half a foot taller than to get his boot on the end of the ball. It just bounced down in front of him. He threw his foot a bit, and it bounced through towards Ante Kovic and into the safety for the Western Sydney Wanderers to get that ball away. As he drops it onto the floor and plays it downfield now. Up in the air, a little nudge in the back. Dino Kresinger thought then, and so did Tony Popovic. The referee thought otherwise, and Trent Sainsbury plays it back to Zwanswijk, and he goes back towards Matt Ryan, who just dinks a ball downfield. Shannon Cole goes up and challenges with McBreen, and McBreen is penalised for making a back that Shannon Cole went over. He disagrees, as do plenty of the fans down in front of us as well. Nikolai Topor-Stanley has the ball at his feet now after that free kick was taken quickly. He goes running forward, plays it infield towards Mark Bridge. Bridge tries to turn away, but Bozanic was all over him then. Wins the ball back, gives it to Stajovski and on to McGlinchey on the left-hand side of the field. On to Josh Rose. Rose goes back towards Zvanswijk. And Zvanswijk plays it across the back line and on again to the right-hand edge of the field to Pej Bojic. Bit of pressure again now from the Wanderers, not wanting to allow the Mariners to get downfield and get in their end and put some pressure on in the final third of the field. Patrick Zvanswijk fires a long cross-field ball into the feet of Pej Bojic. His touch wasn't fantastic, but he knocked it infield far enough to give it to Hutchinson. Then that was a great touch then from McBreen. McBreen 1-2 with McGlinchey onto Josh Rose, left hand into the box, shoots across the face of goal. And how Bernie Abidi didn't get the faintest of touches on that one, which would have resulted in the first goal of the afternoon, I'll never know. It looked like his boot was there, it looked like it would hit, and it looked like it would be 1-0.
Oh, Abini, Sainsbury and Stajovski. 3 clear-cut chances. 1 hit the crossbar, 2 an inch away from tapping it in. Wow, this is some start to a grand final, isn't it?
It is, and Amanda's getting most of it down in front of her at the moment.
Yeah, I think Shannon Cole just off-put Bernie Abini a little bit. He did enough to put him off that shot, and it's just amazing down here. I know we say it every week when the Wanderers play, but it's non-stop noise. It's an absolute wall of sound and a lot of passion.
Yeah, that's exactly it, and I think they're hoping to lift their side at the moment because, as Paul Wade correctly pointed out a moment or two ago, they have been on the back foot for much of this first half, but, as I say, that was pretty much the similar pattern to the game when they went up to the Central Coast and won by a goal to nil to finally overtake them and move to the top of the league ladder. The Wanderers do not give away many goals, 21 through the regular season. The most miserly of any of the teams. Second most miserly the Central Coast Mariners, though, as the ball's played into their back line and Trent Sainsbury deals with it well. Headed clear. Hutchinson nods it further forward towards Bernie Abini. Handles the ball, though, Bernie Abini. His hand virtually on the top of the head of Shannon Cole and knocked it away from him. And it's a free kick which the Wanderers will take just down in front of their technical area. Shannon Cole stands over it, leaves it for Shinji Ono, who tends to take the set pieces, tends to pull rank.
That's a name you haven't mentioned very much, is it? Daniel McBreen likes to drop into midfield. Ono likes to drop into midfield from those forward lines, and neither of them really have been involved.
Ono has a chance now. He side foots it crossfield towards Mateo Poljak, who plays it into the edge of the box to Kresinger. Kresinger to the right edge of the area to Beecham. Beecham with a cross into the middle. It takes a deflection and goes behind for a corner kick. Nicely worked move then from the Wanderers, although Michael Beecham probably not the one you'd want delivering the final cross into the middle, the big centre half.
Yeah. What about Kressinger's first touch?
Oh.
Killed it with one, played it out to the right with the other. I'll tell you what, if he'd have done that facing the goal he's trying to score in, he might have scored.
Yeah, absolutely. 26 minutes played here at the football stadium, scoreless between the Wanderers and the Mariners. Lifted in towards the penalty spot from the corner kick, headed in towards goal and just behind in the end. So we actually got the final touch on that one then. It might have been Kresinger and Topor-Stanley both jumping in there. I think Kresinger might have actually got his noggin on that one, but failed to hit the target. A much better contact than the earlier opportunity that he actually had for the Wanderers. But so far, yet to see a goal here this afternoon at the Sydney Football Stadium, where it is absolutely packed. It's colours on all around the ground, the red and black and the yellow and blue. Nikolai Topor-Stanley wins the ball in the air. It bounces down towards Bozanic. He's beaten to the ball, though, by Corbina Apiakubi. He lays it back towards Jerome Polens. Polens plays it down the right-hand touchline and it drifts out over the sideline and for a throw-in to the Mariners. And you made the point before, Paul. Haven't mentioned Shinji Ono much. Haven't mentioned that link-up down that right-hand side from Apiakubi and Polens. And Mark Bridge has also been another name I've not mentioned a lot for the Wanderers. The Mariners are doing well to keep them quiet, and they're obviously having a lot of the ball themselves. They're trying to push forward again now as Aaron Moy is just nudged off the ball and wins his side a free kick and another bit of respite for the Wanderers. Graham Arnold knows the key points for the Wanderers, and as I say, they keep those players out of the game, you nullify them a lot.
I'm feeling sorry for Shannon Cole on this left-hand side. He'd like to get forward and support Mark Bridge, but unfortunately he's got to think about Abini standing inside him. He's not standing up front, he's just dropped into that midfield, very much like a number 10. So you've got McBreen maybe trying to get in there, and then Abini, it's like, whoa, do I go or do I stay? And he's doing nothing at the moment.
Yeah, The Wanderers trying to fashion something now, and Shannon Cole has had the opportunity to get forward now, takes the ball down pretty much on his face before Bernie Abini takes it away from him and tries to belt down that right-hand touchline. He took it too close to the line, and it was right in front of the Sydney bench, and they felt the ball had gone out over the line. Aaron Moy was stopped getting to the ball then by the referee standing in his way, and John Hutchinson brought it under control and played it away to Zvansvijk, and he plays it down the left-hand touchline for the Mariners to Joshua Rose. Rose gets it back, comes in over his head, lifts across in towards the middle, but slices it somewhat, and it drifts out over the bar and behind for a goal kick. As I say, you can contact us via the SMS, which Roger has done, to say, is this the day that we long-term football tragics thought would never come? A sold-out final, excellent quality play, fanatical support and value imports. Hats off to those responsible for pulling off the impossible, because it has been a major feat pulled off this year in the A-League, landing of the likes of Hiskey and Del Piero, but the real success really has been the emergence of the Western Sydney Wanderers into the competition, and the perennial success of the Central Coast Mariners as well is also very, very noteworthy, and Graham Arnold. So indeed, congratulations to all those people. If you want to contact me via Twitter as well, you can do directly at Ned Grandstand, all one word, as there's a free kick given over towards the right-hand touchline for the Central Coast Mariners for Michael Beecham, climbing over the back of Mile Stajovski. Michael Beecham wasn't particularly pleased with the referee's decision there.
He had to, because, you know, when Stajovski gets this ball, if he gets it under control, he'll run at you. So rather than have him do that, it's like they're lunging in and trying to win 50-50 balls. And when you do things like that, you've just set up a Central Coast chance.
Well, Bozanic will take this free kick again, level with the right-hand side of the box, and about 5-6 metres further north. Steps in, strikes it in towards the back post, and a boot flung out then by Zvansvijk. It was strange because the angle that we were looking at that from, all of a sudden a white socked boot flew out from the crowd of players, and you thought this could knock it into the back of the goal, but Zvansvijk lifted it up in the air rather than in towards the path of the goal. But great delivery, horrible ball in behind the defenders.
Oh jeez, what a nightmare for defenders. All the Western Sydney Wanderers players were standing in a line. Bernie Abini was standing at least 4 yards closer to the goal. He was in an offside position, but it made the Wanderers defence think about it. That was a superb ball.
Ball played in to the feet of Poljak by Dine Kresinger. Back to Topor Stanley and on to Aaron Moy, who also back into the side after he's been struggling with injury. Also been a little bit on the quiet side. Jerome Polent has the ball played forward in towards him now. Lifts it towards the back post, and again Mark Bridges made that run into the centre of the box. There's nobody out wide left for the Wanderers, which allows the Mariners to comfortably mop up with Pedj Bowic, who plays it on now towards John Hutchinson. Half an hour played here, still waiting for our first goal of the afternoon in this A-League Grand Final, Season 8 of the A-League, here in front of a sold-out Sydney Football Stadium this afternoon. It took less than half an hour on 3 separate occasions of different ticket releases to sell this Grand Final out. So the ball is with McGlinchey on the left-hand touchline. He plays it infield towards Daniel McBreen, who, as ever, is dropping deep, working hard, looking for the ball. On it goes now to John Hutchinson, and Hutchinson plays it back to the feet of Trent Sainsbury. Sainsbury goes on one more to Zvansvijk. Bowic is making that little run down the right flank. The ball towards him wasn't a good one. Neither was the clearance from Shannon Cole. It was straight to Bernie Abini. He does a little step over the ball, gives it away, and Poljak picks it up now. Apia Kubi makes a run forward, wants the ball in front of him again to use that pace. He's got Zvansvijk coming across. He'll fancy taking him on and using the pace to run around him. Zvansvijk stands up well to him though. Apia Kubi spins away from him, shows too much of it though to McGlinchey, and McGlinchey just side foots it away from him, and the ball is taken away downfield. So it was Bozanic who played it away to McGlinchey. But the Wanderers do have the ball back again on the centre circle. Aaron Moy goes cross towards Mateo Poljak. Shannon Cole trying to give him an option out to the left. He might have to go left to Shannon Cole. There's not an awful lot directly up ahead of them, and the Mariners have dropped in behind the ball very well, putting out most of the options for the Wanderers. Beecham goes downfield and turned on by Apia Kubi, who asked a little bit much then of Jerome Polent, and the ball ran on towards the byline and out for a goal kick, which Matt Ryan will take.
It was a good option though, wasn't it? Beecham had Polens going down the right hand side, down the touchline. Kubi was inside him. Rather than play it over the top to a advancing Polens, he's just played it in short to Apia Kubi, whose flick wasn't quite good enough, but it's another option.
Chance here for the Mariners to try and get in behind the Wanderers defence. A ball played forward looking for Bernie Abini, and it actually went straight towards Mateo Poljak in the end, and Poljak plays the ball forward, headed back towards his own goal by Josh Rose, and scurrying back to keep that ball in play and doing the job well was Matt Ryan in the end. Could be Matt Ryan's last game in the pink of the Mariners goalkeeping jersey this afternoon, before he heads off likely to a move into Europe. And well, we had to say after the game against Melbourne Victory, he spent 3/4 of an hour at least walking around the stadium after the game, signing every single autograph of every fan who waited behind to see him after the game. So hats off to Matt Ryan, and certainly showing that link between the team and the fans up in Gosford. And he'd love to go out a winner as well, as if he does go on and get that overseas move. One or two could be moving on. The Mariners without ever having won the A-League Premiership, as Pedge Bowic takes a ball down on his chest. It bounces away from him. Mateo Poljak being closed down quickly by Miles Jajovski, and the referee saying that is a free kick, as eventually Poljak ends up in a heap in front of the Mariners bench. I think probably the final one after the referee's whistle was probably the worst. It did trip him a little bit then, but I think he'd already given the free kick at that stage, the referee.
You know what? I'm glad he's refereeing, because he's letting things go, isn't he? Hey, there's been some 50-50 shoulder to shoulder. Get on with it. People being looked as if they've been fouled from behind. Get on with it. Love this sort of stuff.
And it's been great to watch both coaches on the sideline as well. Tony Popovic has been very animated, up on his feet pretty much the entire game, shouting, yelling, telling players where to go, whereas Graham Arnold, he's playing it cool. He's sitting back, he's relaxing, he's not trying to get too stressed out.
I'll see how long that lasts for in the second half.
That could change very quickly.
As the Wanderers look to attack down the right, but the ball goes out over the sideline, and it's going to be a throw-in to the Mariners. They're strolling over to it. In fact, they've got a free kick over on that far side, which Zvanswijk takes, rolls it back into the feet of the Maltese international John Hutchinson. Hutchinson goes back into Matt Ryan. He got the ball caught under his feet, had to hook it out from there before Mark Bridge got there. Pedge Bowic picks it up. They're playing a dangerous game here, the Mariners. Dino Kresinger was almost latching onto the end of a ball then before Hutchinson got it, and played across and away by Zvanswijk. Bounced nastily in front of Jerome Polent, and then away and back once more with Daniel McBreen. Played down the left-hand touchline. Josh Rose tries to get on the end of it, headed out over the touchline. It goes out for a throw, and another good attacking position, then a good quick break from the Mariners then.
Two massive balls down the right and left. You wouldn't want to be Shalon Cole. He keeps getting hammered by Abini 1 minute and Bowic the next. He really is having a tough time. Pollens, by comparison, has only had to deal with 2 or 3. But Shannon Cole is copping a hiding. He's doing a good job, though. I'll give him that.
Ball thrown into the box. Might drop for Abini. Still not down for him. Shannon Cole there once again and plays the ball away. And it goes up over the halfway line, and Trent Sainsbury steps across it. Kresinger tries to nip it off his toe. And it's back with Matt Ryan and then played away. Back to Sainsbury. Back to Ryan, who doesn't control the ball well. It bobbled a little bit in front of him and then played away from him before Shinjiono got there. The clearance wasn't a good one. Poljak won it back, gives it to Bridge, and then on to Aaron Moy. And maybe a bit of pressure put on the Mariners here, unnecessarily in some ways here, because of not clearing their lines more effectively. Headed forward by Aaron Moy. Nodded away once more by Bozanic, but it drops again for Shannon Cole. Not making a lot of progress at the moment, the Wanderers, but they are pinning back the Mariners in their own half. Mateo Poljak goes forward, goes to ground, whilst looking at the referee, wanted the free kick. The referee was not particularly interested as Bridge tracks back as Pedge Bowic goes bursting forward. Bowic steps over the ball. Aaron Moy goes in, makes a good strong challenge, gets a foot behind the ball and plays it away, but a great run downfield from Bowic. However, that came to nothing, and now a bit of end-to-end stuff as we're in the final 10 minutes before half-time. Long ball played forward by Poljak, raises his hands and apologises in the end as it goes out for a throw into the Mariners.
I'd love to know how far this ball has travelled in the first 36 minutes of this game, whether it be a short pass or a long pass. It is flying at the moment. There is nowhere to hide.
No, not at all. As it's with Sainsbury at the back for the Mariners. Back it goes again to Johnny Hutchinson. 37 minutes played, no goals scored here at the Sydney Football Stadium this afternoon. It's back with Polend. Polend plays it forward, and then it's nodded out over the sideline for a throw-in, which is out on the left-hand side, which Joshua Rose will take. Rose will throw it back. He goes all the way back towards Matt Ryan, the goalkeeper, who will probably be quite looking forward to standing in front of his own fans in the second half ball. It's back with Sainsbury, and Sainsbury looks to play that ball away. Because it's Abini, and Abini almost caught in possession from Mark Bridge. They have taken some chances passing that ball around under the pressure from the Wanderers, as McBreen drops back to the halfway line, plays it into the feet of Hutchinson. On it goes once more. Down the left-hand touchline it goes towards Joshua Rose. Rose plays it infield towards McGlinchey. McGlinchey, who has also been a little quiet. He hasn't had a lot of opportunities to run at players so far in this game. Now it's on to McBreen. McBreen on the left-hand side. This time it is McGlinchey. Steps infield. Right foot strike played away by Shannon Cole, with two Mariners players loitering in behind him. Shot from the edge of the box. A spectacular one from Oliver Bozanic. And it goes way over the bar, goes behind, and that will be a goal kick for Ante Kovic to take, with 38.5 minutes played here, Paul.
You know what, when that ball came in, Shannon Cole had two players standing at the far post. I don't know, maybe we should, I shouldn't say we, I don't know, it's really difficult not to get emotionally involved in Western Sydney Wanderers, but Mark Bridge really needs now to come back and help Shannon Cole. Because you've got Polyak and Moy in the middle of the park, they're working hard, but there's a massive hole on this right-hand side which is being exploited by Abini, and if not, it's got Boich going around the outside. It's a real problem and it needs to be addressed now.
Bridge is beaten in the air by Boich. The ball drops out nicely from him in the end, then it's back with Kresinger. Kresinger onto Polyak. It's played forward again, looking for Bridge. Bridge has to stretch a leg up to try and bring the ball down. He can't quite manage to do so, and it goes out over the touchline for a throw-in to the Mariners. Pedge Boich will take it, the perennially busy Pedge Boich. In case you're wondering as well, the listeners from Coffs Harbour, the City Country Gamers, Apia Kubi almost catches Matt Ryan in possession. He does, he takes it away from him. He's forced out to the right-hand touchline, into the middle, and it's cut out by Trent Sainsbury very coolly and casually. But then just dinks a little ball out to the touchline towards Apia Kubi. Out that goes again for a throw-in to the Wanderers. I'll tell you the City Country score very shortly. In fact, Country won by 18 points to 12 as Aaron Moy lifts it in towards the edge of the box, looking for Singiono, and he goes all the way through for Matt Ryan. The Mariners have been their own worst enemy a few times. I understand them trying to pass the ball out from the back, but they've taken that many risks. They know the Wanderers will push them all the way. Almost catching the goalkeeper in possession then, and actually making a chance was Apia Kubi, who's got some pace.
Well, it's not the most perfect surface in the world, and and there have been a lot this season where you can pass that small side game. Melbourne Victory did it last week against the Central Coast. They kept it really tight in the middle of the park, and then they would whack. It was 50 yards. But yeah, they are playing a dangerous game.
McGlinchey in behind the defenders, pulls the ball back, it bounces in, might fall for Abini. Abini left foot strike, well saved by Ante Kovic. It wasn't the best contact from Bernie Abini, but it fell nicely for him, and Ante Kovic was very glad to take that one cleanly and comfortably up into his midriff in the end. But a good opportunity then for the Mariners, as they have to do a bit of defending now. 5 to go until half time, and it's scoreless here at the Sydney Football Stadium. It's with Joshua Rose, who plays it forward down the left-hand touchline, looking for McGlinchey. Running back is Apia Kubi, who manhandles McGlinchey out of the way, but not according to the referee. Ran into him, got his pace to track him down. The referee says play on. They do play on, and Aaron Moy plays a ball crossfield across the halfway line to Mark Bridge. Bridge going down the left-hand touchline. This time Abini closes him down, nudges it away in towards Pedge Boich. That was good team defending from the Mariners to play it away from Mark Bridge, who's had a fairly frustrating first half so far, not seen an awful lot of the ball. It's now with Joshua Rose on the left-hand edge of the field. He plays it back in towards Patrick Zwanswijk. Zwanswijk across to Trent Sainsbury. He goes long downfield looking for McBreen. McBreen wins the ball in the air, but his header goes through and towards Ante Kovic rather than back across and towards Milesh Tajovski. Bowled out overarm by Ante Kovic into Shannon Cole's feet, and Shannon Cole looks to play it downfield. Gives it on instead to Michael Beecham. Beecham back towards Topor Stanley, and Topor Stanley plays it forward towards Mateo Polyak, who didn't realise that ball was going towards him, went the wrong direction, it skidded across in front of him, looked round to see where the ball was going, and it was going out over the touchline for a throw into the Mariners. So scrappy end to that one from the Wanderers. 3 to go until half time. There's not really been a stoppage in this first half, barely been paused to take breath, to be honest, but We'll see how much stoppage time there is as McGlinchey latches onto a ball, flicks one across the face of goal. Nobody there to mop it up. Shannon Cole turns back inside his own 6-yard box and plays it up towards the halfway line. That was a great ball in from McGlinchey. Just not a yellow and blue shirt there to knock the ball into the back of the net. But he got him behind the defence and delivered a perfect ball. Just no one there to finish it off. Ball now forward again to Joshua Rose, and Rose has the ball knocked away from him by Jerome Polent. Another corner kick for the Central Coast Mariners, and some real pressure being applied as we approach half-time, Paul Wade.
Well, McGlinchey and Rose on one side, and Abini and Sturjovski on the other. It's been happening with so many players that I've lost count of the number of players charging forward with the ball. Absolutely,
it's going to be a corner kick from the left for the Mariners. Everybody back for the Wanderers. Lifting to the 6-yard box, headed goal, it's Zwanswijk! Great header from Patrick Zwanswijk. Rose at the near post, headed the ball cleanly, and there was no way that Ante Kovic could stop that. It's the yellow and blue fans here who find their voices right now, because Patrick Zwanswijk has put them in front in the shadows of half-time. It's the Western Sydney Wanderers 0, Central Coast Mariners 1.
Well, how many times have we seen that ball delivered right on the edge of the 6-yard box? Questions asked about Ante Kovic. He's a big boy. It's on the edge of the 6-yard box. Should he come? Maybe he was thinking there was too much traffic in front of him. But what a header. That went like a bullet. McBreen was at least 2 foot over the tallest player.
Wow. Great header from Patrick Zwanswijk. First goal of the season for the big Dutchman at the back for the Central Coast Mariners, and a vital time for him to score it. So what have the Wanderers got left in their tank? Is their fairy tale about to come to an end here this afternoon? The Mariners have noses in front just before half-time here at the Sydney Football Stadium. And I think we can welcome listeners now from regional New South Wales, Queensland, the ACT. As the ball drops down in the box for the Wanderers, big appeal for a penalty, which they would have loved just before half-time to level things up here, because if you've just joined us, the Mariners have just taken the lead. Patrick Zwanswijk heading in from the edge of the 6-yard box to put them in front against the Western Sydney Wanderers. A frenetic and a pacey first half.
No, sorry to interrupt there, Ned, but it's hit him on the arm.
It looked like it had from here. The referee had a great view of that one then. Page Burridge was standing in the way of it. It bounced up, and it looked like it bounced off his arm. The referee decided that was not a penalty kick. The Wanderers may have something different to say about that at half-time. So I'm sure Tony Popovic will silently seethe over that for a while. We're just about to get 45 minutes up on the clock, and only 1 minute of stoppage time to be played here at the Sydney Football Stadium. It has been that sort of half. It's fizzed around this game house from end to end, with the Mariners, who've probably enjoyed the best of it. I'll give you the stats on possession and territory when we get to half-time, but they've had the better of things, and they do lead at half-time, it looks like, as we play out stoppage time, unless the Mariners give the ball away here. It's with Trent Sainsbury put under some pressure from Mark Bridge. Now brought down by Aaron Moy, trying to get it under control for the Western Sydney Wanderers. He can't do. Johnny Hutchinson's back there for the Mariners. Back it goes now to Bowick over the halfway line, plays it on towards McBreen, and McBreen plays it wide left to Josh Rose, who's got some space. Rose tries a shot from distance, wasn't too far away from Ante Kovic's left hand upright behind for a goal kick, and the Mariners finishing this half with a flourish, Paul Wade.
Well, Josh Rose is looking at the scoreboard there. There's 1 minute on the clock. It's ticked over 45. He's thought, right, I'm going to have a crack here. There's nobody in the 8-10 yard box, but it just shows you how much confidence Central Coast have got now as the half-time whistle goes.
Well, there is the whistle for half-time here, and well, there's still plenty of noise all around the stadium, because directly in front of us it's most of the Mariners fans who are delighted with their team's first-half performance and seeing their side going in front at the half-time break here at the Sydney Football Stadium, courtesy of that goal from Patrick Zwanswijk in the 43rd minute. However, the red and black bloc and the Western Sydney Wanderers fans are still making plenty of noise themselves, as I'm sure they will through the majority of the half-time break here at the stadium. But it has been the Mariners' half. The Wanderers have struggled to get into their stride. The Mariners have pushed them back. They've had joy attacking down the left, particularly with McGlinchey, and down the right through Abini and Page Bowick as well. They put plenty of pressure on the Western Sydney Wanderers and not really allowed the side that finished with the Premier's plate to create too much themselves. They have had chances. Dino Crescendia had a ball skid off the top of his head at one point, and also did also force a couple of other close calls as well. But it's definitely the Mariners who've been on top at the end of this half. They forced saves from Bernie Abini, who got a great stop out of Ante Kovic, firing in from close range. They've had plenty of balls skid across the face of goal when they've got into attacking positions wide on the right and wide on the left, and deservedly they lead at half-time. Those statistics at half-time, Paul Wade, in terms of possession, the Central Coast Mariners 59% of possession to 41% of possession for the Wanderers, and in terms of territory, funny enough, it is 54% in the Wanderers half and 46% in the Mariners half. But the Mariners, that does go to show that they've had the better of things in the first half.
Yeah, look, Western Sydney can't get hold of that ball at all. You know, what I'm seeing, we've got a 4-3-3 versus a 4-4-2. In other words, there are three players in the middle of the park for Western Sydney. There's Moy, there's Polyak, there's Ono, and they're only up against two, Hutchinson and Bozanic. But as you quite rightly said, Central Coast have the numbers out wide, and Western Sydney have it in the middle. It's not going through the middle at all. Now, something has to change tactically. Graham Arnold is killing it at the moment. Popper needs to change his formation, go back to a 4-4-2, and they haven't done it all season, so maybe I'm out of order. Go back for a 4-4-2 just for 5 or 10 minutes to kill it off, and then you can start playing the style of football that you are normally doing.
Yeah, Amanda, as I say, you've seen an awful lot of football in the first half. I think things will have to change around for you to see the ball in the second half an awful lot more. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it's pretty much been done all at this end. The Mariners have had some excellent chances. Stojovski, particularly in the early stages, he was really threatening and had one very good chance, which he probably should have put away. Daniel McBreen, though, he hasn't been too involved so far, so I think that's very ominous for the Wanderers if he can get a little bit more involved in the second half. He, of course, is the leading goal scorer for the A-League this season. The Wanderers, I think they just need a little bit more composure and keep it calm and just keep the ball on foot and don't throw silly passes away. Now, I'm right in front of the Mariners fans, so when that goal was scored, there was an incredible reaction down here, and the substitutes bench, well, they were walking right in front of me and they went absolutely ballistic. So there's a lot of emotion in this game, a lot of people behind the Mariners, although they're not all here today. I'm sure many listening or watching the game as well. Yeah, the Wanderers, though, if the fans can lift them somehow, and if they can just keep some composure, then of course they could turn this around in the second half.
Yeah, they have got a big job to do. I'll take you through a few more of those statistics as well, which just illustrates a little bit of the dominance that the Mariners have had in that first half. 9 shots to the Mariners in the first half to 2 from the Western Sydney Wanderers. 2 shots on target, 6 shots off target for the Mariners, and just 1 shot off target for the Western Sydney Wanderers. 3 corners apiece. In terms of completed passes in this first half, and this is an interesting stat because the Wanderers actually sit at the bottom of the league table for this, I think, anyway, despite winning the Premier's play. 105 completed passes for the Western Sydney Wanderers to 215 for the Central Coast Mariners, which just goes to show how much more ball they've had, how many more quick, short passes they've done. They've been controlling the football in this first half.
Yeah, they've changed it up at all the times, but as you quite rightly said, halfway through that first half, you know, they could have had the ball nicked a couple of times. They were still playing football on the edge of their 18-yard box. Confidence, I don't know. Maybe, you know, they really need to have a good look at that, because at the end of the day, despite the fact they've had 5 chances, it's only 1-0.
Now, if you do want to get in touch with us here, you can send us an SMS 0467 920 222, 0467 920 222, or you can tweet me directly if you're on Twitter at Ned Grandstand, all one word. I'll pick up a few of those, I think, in the second half, as it is going to be a thrilling game in the second half, but you do wonder what Tony Popovic can do to change things up. He could go to his bench, because the one thing I noticed about the bench before the game was he's got Tariq Elric on there, who was probably going to be the direct replacement for Jerome Palens, who can play at right back. Had he been injured, he can play further forward as well. He's got Labano Haliti, Rocky Visconti and Jason Trefero. Trefero can play as a holding midfielder but can get forward as well. They've got attacking options. They've got things they can do there to freshen things up and change things up if they need to get more of a foothold in this game.
Do you think, though, that anybody out there is playing badly when they're in possession? I can't actually say. I mean, Shannon Cole's copping an absolute hiding here, but it could be a lot worse when he's got to mark 2 people. I don't know whether a change of staff will change the game.
No, and I think that might be the problem as well in terms of where they do it, because the guys we've not mentioned a lot in the first half, the likes of Mark Bridge, Shinji Ono, Spillane. Apia Kubu we saw a few times early on in the game where he basically created things on his own when he went to take people on and ran around them. But we haven't had a lot of cause to mention them through the course of this first half, so whether those guys who come on will do much different remains to be seen. But they need the ball in the second half, the Western Sydney Wanderers, if they're to claw back into this game. What I always interested as well, what would your message be if you're Graham Arnold at half-time? Do you just have to go in and say, don't change anything? Because obviously what they're doing is working at the moment.
Gee, I tell you what, I'd walk in there and I wouldn't know what to say for the first 2 or 3 minutes because, but I would not praise them because you know what it's like. Hey boys, well done. You go out there and the boys have taken their foot off the pedal. They've relaxed a little bit, even if it's just 5%, and all of a sudden you've got big problems. McBreen hasn't come into midfield like I thought he would. If he does that, then you just wonder what Collins and Moy are going to do, because already they're not doing enough for my liking. But yeah, look, it's a tough one. They've got to get Shinji Ono in. Just play him. It's like Del Piero at Sydney FC. For the first few games of the season, they didn't play him either. And here we've got a perfect example of that. Whether it's Hutchinson doing a great job, I don't think so. I can't really remember when it was one-on-one against Ono, can you?
No, I think for me it's more the fact that the Mariners are using the ball so well and getting it wide and taking it out of those middle areas, keeping it away from Ono and keeping it away from the key players for the Wanderers. And that's the big challenge for Tony Popovic at half-time, is to get his players into the game without throwing out the baby with the bathwater and doing everything differently, because they've not done that all season. They've made small changes, made subtle changes, and that's what's got them into games. As I say, when we saw the game up at Gosford, when they won by a goal to nil, the Mariners created more chances that day. They could have won that game quite comfortably and gone on and won the Premier's play. As it was, they lost by a goal to nil. It was a great goal from Labino Haliti late on in the game, and that was the only difference between the two sides on that occasion. This time, it's the Mariners who've got their noses in front first, and so you just wonder how many more goals there'll be in this game, or how many goals are needed in this game for, one, the Mariners to put it safe, and two, how many goals have the Wanderers actually got in them against, again, a difficult defence to actually break through.
Yep, one thing they are doing well is they are knocking that long ball calculated. They're not just whacking it up the other end over the top of Topo Stanley and Beecham, and Stojovski's going for it, and he's normally beating them to the ball. So that might be another tactic Popper might introduce. All right, boys, let's take it again. Take the steam out of it. Everyone drop back onto the 18-yard box. Let's leave Cressinger up there and make sure Shinji Ono, as soon as that ball goes forward, to support him, because right now, that every time they push up, they get nailed on the defensive. And
just looking from an attacking point of view, I mean, Yusuf Hersey is obviously out suspended. Do you think that's probably having an impact on the Wanderers as well? He's such a dynamic player. He's involved in so much, and maybe he's left a big hole for them.
Yeah, look, he keeps possession, doesn't he, Ned? He'll jink and jibe his way through. Akubi gets the ball and he runs at Rose, but nothing comes of it, and they really haven't killed any time for anyone to have a rest when Hersey gets it. And the other thing Hersey does, he gets the ball back as well. That's why he's been suspended so many times, because he's desperate to get that ball back. I think that's a big factor in it, is the defensive side of his game as well, and also the link-up with Spillane, which just doesn't seem to be there at the moment with Spillane and Apia Kubi. Spillane looks off his game for me as well. As I say, I wish to throw him back in with a bit of a thigh injury. He doesn't quite look on his game, and he hasn't linked up so far quite as well with Apia Kubi. But we've got another 45 minutes at least yet to go here at the Sydney Football Stadium.
The World Game is here.
Sam Kerr puts the ball into the back of the net.
The FIFA Women's World Cup 2023. Live and commercial-free coverage on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the World Cup button. ABC Sport Digital Radio.
Welcome back to the Sydney Football Stadium, approaching the start of the second half of this A-League Grand Final here. Myself, Ned Hall, Paul Wade, former Socceroos captain alongside me, and Amanda Shalala down on the sideline here this afternoon, as there's a bit of a hush set over the stadium at the start of the second half. I think the Wanderers fans have the stuffing knocked out of them a little bit with that goal just before the interval here from Patrick Zwanswijk. And I think the Mariners fans may be a little bit taken aback that they're in a position now to go on and win the grand final after 3 failed attempts already, Paul. And I think there is that little bit of nerves probably building around them. It's not easy to get over the line in a grand final, even though they've got the noses in front at the moment. Actually closing out the game is always tricky.
Well, the two sides of the ground, they're the old-fashioned supporters, the ones that don't sing. Yeah, I mean, they're chanting at the moment. I'm talking Western Sydney Wanderers supporters. The red and black bloc will always chant and sing, but as a footballer, what they've been used to all season is the non-stop support. Mind you, they've played good football, and for the most of it, they've been in front. This is going to be a test for the crowd to see how much noise they can make and give the drive, because they are the 12th man. I don't use that loosely when it comes to this lot. They are the 12th man. They will make an impact if they don't shut up.
Well, we've seen that plenty of times already this season when they've looked like things have been going away from the Wanderers, and the crowd has really got behind them. It happened the other night against the Brisbane Roar when Brisbane were battling back into the game. The crowd found their voices and gave their side a lift, so that they will be doing their best to play their part in the remaining 45 minutes or possibly more of this game here at the football stadium. Incidentally, if you weren't listening earlier on this afternoon, or if you're listening on 702 ABC Sydney or on 92.5 ABC Central Coast, you may not have found out that the score in Coffs Harbour this afternoon in the City v Country match was a win for Country by 18 points to 12. So a win for them, and a win in the AFL this afternoon for Melbourne, beating GWS by 22 goals 12, 144. GWS 15 goals 13, 103. There's also another game taking place at the moment as we get the teams just trotting back out onto the field. It's the Mariners who are first out there. In fact, the Mariners goalkeeper Matt Ryan's been out there for a long period of time, waiting in the goal and warming up and getting himself ready to face the second half. The score in the other game, incidentally, in the AFL this afternoon is Adelaide 8 goals 7-55, the Western Bulldogs 2 goals 2-14. So the Bulldogs are still going fairly poorly as the Wanderers make their way back out onto the field. This time they'll be defending the Paddington end of the ground. They'll have the red and black block behind them, and the Mariners are away to our right. Their main bulk of fans are at the Randwick end of the ground. Matt Ryan standing in front of them for this second half, all in pink. The Mariners lineup this afternoon is Matt Ryan in goal, Pedge Bowick at right back, Joshua Rose at left back, Patrick Zvansvijk, the goal scorer, at centre half alongside Trent Sainsbury. In the heart of midfield, Oliver Bozanic and John Hutchinson. On the left, Michael McGlinchey. On the right, it's Bernie Abini, and then Mile Stajowski is playing up front alongside Daniel McBreen. And for the Wanderers this afternoon, it's Ante Kovic in goal, Jerome Polens at right back, Shannon Cole at left back, Michael Beecham and Nikolai Topor-Stanley in the centre of defence. Kwabena Appiah-Kubi on the right of midfield. On the left of midfield, it's Mark Bridge. In the middle, Aaron Moy and Matteo Poljak. And then Shinji Ono and Dino Kresinger are the two players playing pushed forward. On the bench for the Mariners today, we've got the substitute goalkeeper Justin Pasfield. We've got Zach Anderson, Anthony Casteros, Mitchell Duke and Nick Fitzgerald as well. Underway here at the start of the second half of the A-League Grand Final on ABC Local Radio across New South Wales, the ACT and also Queensland, and on Grandstand Digital as Dino Kresinger goes shoulder to shoulder with Trent Sainsbury. Sainsbury looks to play the ball away. It goes out over the touchline, and again trying to play the ball away from the back and pass it out, as the Mariners have done all the way through the first half. Almost got them in a spot of bother. It is a throw into the Wanderers on their left hand touchline. Shannon Cole brings it down, tries to go around Bernie Abini. Abini gets a foot on the ball and nudges it out over the line for the Wanderers. The bench for the Wanderers, incidentally, Labano Haliti, Tarek Ari, Rocky Visconti, Jason Trefiro and Carlos Saliadari, the substitute goalkeeper, as the ball's thrown in towards the Mariners box. It might lift in behind them again from Aaron Moy, but it's skidded through before Shinji Ono could get there and into the arms of Matt Ryan, who just throws it out overarm onto the right touchline towards Pedge Bowick. Passing it out from the back once again, it's with Oliver Bozanic. Now on to Bernie Abini. Bernie Abini on towards McBreen. McBreen goes crossfield and brought down beautifully on the right hand flank by Bowick. Pedge Bowick has got some support outside him now from Bernie Abini. Then in field instead he goes towards McBreen, who's dropped deep into midfield and sprays a left foot past onto the chest of Joshua Rose. However, showed too much of it towards Appiah-Kubi, and Appiah-Kubi played it to Jerome Polens. Spillane has pulled up a little sore from that as well. He played it away, he didn't control the ball well, got a little nudge in the back from Joshua Rose, and he limped away from that one, Jerome Spillane, who came into this game with a quad injury. Now Bowick cuts forward onto the edge of the box, edge of the area to McBreen. McBreen in space, left foot strike, closed down well by Beecham, and then Apia Kubi comes running across and tussles with Michael McGlinchey for the ball. McGlinchey can't keep it in, and he goes out over the touchline for a throw-in to the Western Sydney Wanderers. Now, I'm going to have to keep a bit of an eye on Jerome Spillane, and I think Amanda Shalala down on the sideline, might have to keep an eye on Spillane because he seemed to limp away from that one a little bit. Yeah, he's still a little bit ginger at the moment, just running down the sideline, not at full pace at all. So we'll keep a lookout for him and see how he goes for the rest of this half. Amanda Shalala on the sideline, Ned Hall in commentary alongside former Socceroos captain Paul Wade this afternoon, as Jerome Spillane went in a little stronger then to that challenge. Maybe shook some of the effects of it off as he dodged back into position, but the ball fizzed up in the air and then drops for Hutchinson. Hutchinson on towards Pedge Bowick, and he goes back now towards Matt Ryan. Ryan rolls it out along the floor towards Trent Sainsbury, and Sainsbury starts the ball out from the back through Bozanic onto Zvanswijk, the goal scorer. Just before half-time, Patrick Zvanswijk headed the ball in from close range. Big, strong central defender, maybe finishing up his career with the Central Coast Mariners, and what a way to sign off. Balls with Trent Sainsbury, who's being rapidly closed down by Mark Bridge and Shinji Ono, who sprinted in towards him then, did just enough to play it back into goalkeeper Matt Ryan, and Ryan plays the ball away, and it's still with the Central Coast Mariners. For all that close calls there, they've still got the ball. They played it forward now towards Joshua Rose. Rose down the left-hand touchline, going to cut infield. Back he goes to McBreen, who's got space on the edge of the box. He's got Bozanic in behind him, also in space. He goes out to the right-hand touchline. Bowick, lovely chest of the ball, back towards John Hutchinson. Across the centre circle he goes to Bozanic, who then once again goes diagonally onto Bowick on the sideline, brings it down. Nice control, good spell this from the Central Coast Mariners, holding onto the football again for plenty of time, as it's with Bowick infield. He goes to McBreen, who stabs it back in towards Pedge Bowick, down towards the byline, tries to take on Shannon Cole, gets past him onto McBreen again, edge of the box, curls it into the area, and he got a little flick away then, I think, from Michael Beecham, and another corner kick to the Central Coast Mariners. Well, I don't quite know how many passes they strung together in that little period of play, but the Mariners just controlled the football then, Paul. You know what, they're moving into areas where Western Sydney players don't know whether they should or shouldn't go, but because the ball's delivered that early, they can't make the decision and end up doing nothing. Ball into the box to Rose. Rose goes back to the left-hand touchline to Bozanic. Bozanic fires it in towards the back stick, headed behind by Nikolai Topol-Stanley, and there was one where he couldn't do a lot else about that. Then Topol-Stanley heads behind for a fifth Central Coast Mariners corner kick of the afternoon. And they're under the cosh at the moment, the Western Sydney Wanderers, defending that goal down in front of the red and black block, which has been relocated this afternoon to the Sydney Football Stadium from Parramatta Stadium. The scarves are held aloft in front of their heads at the moment as they try and probably stop the ball going into the net again by the sheer will of noise that they're making. And they'll look to play that ball out of the penalty area once it's eventually delivered from the left-hand side of the field. Zvanswijk could be the danger man again. Dino Kresinger's picking up the centre half. He'll fade it into the box, headed away by Mark Bridge, and then dropping now to Hutchinson. Hutchinson cuts it out and feeds it back to Rose. Rose down the left-hand touchline to McGlinchey. McGlinchey can't bring it under control. Dino Kresinger shoulder to shoulder with McGlinchey, shrugs him off and goes downfield. And McGlinchey just clipped his ankles then on the way past. That was stupid, and a stupid yellow card for McGlinchey. He was always a few paces behind Dino Kresinger then, and Kresinger wasn't in a dangerous position and just clipped his heels. Well, what is he, 40 yards out from goal? So it's not as if he had to do it. That's the first time. Look how far Kresinger's come to get that ball. You know, he's come a long, long way. He must be getting frustrated too that he's not getting any service. They haven't changed their tactics at all. The same formation, and they're getting nailed out wide again. Well, the ball's back with the Mariners. They just nod it down from Bowick, who managed to get the ball on towards Stajowski. Stajowski does well, feeds it now to Hutchinson. Hutchinson goes long downfield, and Stajowski's first touch wasn't a great one, but taking no chances, Nikolai Topol-Stanley just nudged the ball away from him and out over the sideline for a throw-in. It's taken quickly. Bernie Abini is there. He runs down the right flank, gets it back from Bowick, tries to lift it in towards the penalty area so it bobbles its way through. Goes out over the line for a goal kick, which Ante Kovic will take and try and clear his lines. 51.5 minutes played here at the Sydney Football Stadium this afternoon. The A-League Grand Final on ABC local radio across the ACT, New South Wales and Queensland. And it's the Central Coast Mariners who are leading at the moment by a 1-0 from Patrick Zwanswijk. He scored the goal in the shadow of half-time as Nikolai Topol-Stanley tussling with McBreen. McBreen got a foot, just nudged around him and prodded it towards goal, but I think he collected the studs of Nikolai Topol-Stanley. He gets to his feet and doesn't complain too much about it, Daniel McBreen, and trots his way back upfield. There was nothing malicious in that, even though he caught the studs of him. He just actually lunged a foot round him as Topol-Stanley was trying to clear out the mess at the back, and just trots past him and continues on his way as the ball's played back in his direction. He didn't really fancy turning too quickly then, McBreen, to go and get back after the ball. Gives Topol-Stanley plenty of time to collect it on the halfway line and feed it on to Aaron Moy. Moy goes cross field, looks for Apia Kubi. Nice first touch to bring the ball down, and a little Jenkins step over the ball, pushes it round Joshua Rose, feeds it back in on the floor. Bridge tries a shot at goal. I think a bit of a half air shot then. I think he actually caught the foot of Pej Bowick as well, and shake a hand from Pej Bowick as he goes past him, but that was good play from Apia Kubi. Bridge on the edge of the box, tries to lift it in towards Kresinger, this time played away by Zwanswijk, and out of nowhere the Wanderers have fashioned a couple of half chances here within the space of 30 seconds. They've still got the ball, and now is this the time for the Mariners to be put under some pressure. Polens down the touchline into the feet of Apia Kubi, appeals for the ball going out over the line. It's not given. Apia Kubi runs in towards the box, stepping over, still going left foot strike, and it was well blocked in the end by Zwanswijk. And McGlinchey now, he's got him behind Aaron Moy, still going forward, running down that left-hand flank for the Mariners and sliding in and making a good solid challenge is Aaron Moy. Well, the tempo and the pace and the noise just cranked up a few notches then, Paul Wade.
Yeah, and partly because of Apia Kubi. Two cracks he had at Joshua Rose then and got past him each time. Great delivery into the 18-yard box. How good is that? We saw him a couple of weeks ago and he was getting hammered out wide. Now he's throwing his leg over the ball. He's doing 2 or 3 step-overs in a row, very much like Ronaldo. He is thoroughly enjoying himself.
Not a bad comparison to be compared to Ronaldo in the game, but he's suddenly stepped up and gets the ball back again, this time doing a bit of defensive work that we mentioned at half-time that maybe was missing from Hersey, and all of a sudden again the Wanderers have gone galloping forward. They've certainly had a spend on a bit more energy now than they had at some times in the first half. Ball played forward to Aaron Moy. On it goes from Moy to Apia Kubi, and a deft little touch again. He goes wide towards Polens. Polens hasn't been in the action much. A left foot cross from him, looking for Bridge. Too much weight on that one from Jerome Polens, and it goes all the way through for a goal kick. A disappointing delivery then in the end from Jerome Polens, but a better move from the Wanderers once again in getting that link-up play down that right-hand side.
That's a Hersey Polens move, isn't it, really? Hersey goes wide, ball played into Apia Kubi. Nice little flick. It just takes out the central midfielder and it puts the fullback in a lot of doubt.
There has been a noticeable lift from the Wanderers looking from down here as well. They've just upped the tempo a little bit and there's a lot more desperation for them, which is probably a good thing. They need to be desperate to get to the ball first.
Yeah. Well, we've had 10 minutes of the second half played here. They still trail against the Central Coast Mariners by 1-0. It's with Moy. Moy gives it back towards Michael Beecham. Beecham looks to go forward. Well, on the floor he goes into the feet of Apia Kubi. His first touch wasn't great. He's muscled off the ball by McGlinchey, and the referee thinks that was a foul. Most of the Mariners fans don't think that was a foul down in front of us. There's, I have to say, not too much back chat from the players themselves then to the referee, but they were both just nibbling away at each other then, and the referee decided that he'd seen enough and that should be a free kick going in favour of the Western Sydney Wanderers. And now everybody is back for the Mariners. Ono will take this, delivers the ball into the box. It's headed clear by Pej Bowick, a solid clearance away, level with the top of the penalty area, and Shinji Ono now runs over, gets the ball in his hands, flicks it up for Jerome Polens, and just looking for a bit of movement in front of him. Gives it on to Ono, back to Polens, who collects it up and takes it in his stride, runs in towards goal, fires a left foot strike in, which bobbled its way in towards goal. It was on target, might count as a shot. Matt Ryan dealt with it comfortably, but it was bobbling unpleasantly as it went in towards the goalkeeper. It's now with Ryan, ball at his feet once more, plays it away, left-footed. Just seeing up on the big screen as well inside the stadium that someone else who occupies this stadium a lot of the time, Sonny Bill Williams, not famed for his round ball work yet. You never know, so Cody hasn't yet tried as it's played away by Matt Ryan. up towards the halfway line. Maybe he could be a new signing for the Wanderers for next season. We'll see. Played away by Jerome Polens. Headed on once more by Trent Sainsbury. And the Mariners just want to get the ball back in their possession now and take the sting out of this little moment that the Wanderers have been having. It's played away poorly by Matt Ryan along the floor. Mateo Poljak got his foot to the ball but played it across field, couldn't keep control of it, and it's out for a throw-in on the left-hand touchline for the Central Coast Mariners with 57 minutes played here at the Sydney Football Stadium this afternoon. 1-0 to the Mariners. Michael Beecham plays a ball in field. Poljak was beaten to that one by Bernie Abini. Headed on again by Michael Beecham. Poljak and Abini tussling for the ball just outside the centre circle. Poljak brings that one down, plays it away now to Shannon Cole on the left-hand touchline. Little jink in field from him. On he goes to the feet of Poljak. Poljak back he goes towards Aaron Moy. Moy onto the touchline towards Apia Kubi. 3 players around him, but gets onto the ball and plays it back towards Polens. Polens back again to Moy. Moy on towards Beecham, just keeping possession of the football here, the Western Sydney Wanderers. Not sure if that was the instruction that came out then, Paul, from Tony Popovic at half-time, but they've certainly managed to do it so far as it's turned forward by Ono. Onto the feet, though, instead it goes of Bozanic, who is charging forward downfield, loses possession of the ball. It's played away, and again the Wanderers have it back through Michael Beecham. On he goes towards Moy. Moy into the centre circle. And he gives it on now towards Bridge. Bridge looks to lift it forward towards Polens, who made a good run down that right-hand side. Didn't fancy crossing it first time. McGlinchey's back there to marshal him. Played into the box, in towards Apia Kubi, back out to Polens. Space and time for the cross, into the back post. Kresinger goes up, felt he got a shove. Ono's there with a shot. Bounces across goal and runs out towards the sideline. It might stay in play. In fact, it goes out for a throw-in to the Western Sydney Wanderers, and Dino Kresinger, I think, still having words with the referee. He felt he got a big nudge in the back as he tried to go up for that ball. Little interchange of passes there that Aaron Moy wasn't really alert to, and the Mariners pick up the ball and they snuff out the attack, and McBreen goes forward as Aaron Moy crash into his back. Furious then Daniel McBreen, and the referee gives the free kick the way of the Central Coast Mariners.
Well done, Peter Green. Get on with it. Get off. You know what I mean? I'm glad he's out here. He's not killing the passion. It's not netball. It's a game of football. There's contact. But well, I saw Hutchinson then with his arms out when that last one went over the 18-yard box, asking the question, whoa, hang on a minute, what's going on? Talking to his teammates, saying we are totally disorganised at the moment.
It's funny how they've just the boot's gone on the other foot at the start of this second half, and well, Amanda Shalala has got the best seat in the house. She's had the whole of the first half in front of her and the second half in front of her as well.
I've picked it perfectly, haven't I? It's been quality football as well from both teams, and it's good to see the Wanderers getting back into this and making it more of a contest. And the red and black block, they've lifted now. They've gone to a new level. They know their team needs them, and this is what they can do to help their team get a goal back.
Ball is with Beecham. He gets nudged off it by Daniel McBreen, and he feels he got the ball. So does Graham Arnold. And Amanda Shalala was mentioning in the first half the calm nature and calm manner of Graham Arnold seems to have disappeared a little bit at the start of this second half.
Complaining about throw-ins now 40 yards out from goal.
Exactly. We've had an SMS in from Gosford Graham, who unsurprisingly says, "Go Mariners, send the Wanderers wandering, make them wonder." And if you want to send an SMS in, 0467 920 222, or you can send somebody a message on Twitter at Ned Grandstand if you want to get in touch as well here at the Sydney Football Stadium. Ned Hall, Paul Wade and Amanda Shalala bringing you this A-League Grand Final as a ball's played forward by the Wanderers, skids through off the head of Topor Stanley, played away by McBreen. It goes in behind Shannon Cole. It's mopped up by Mateo Poljak, who goes all the way back to his goalkeeper Ante Kovic. Kovic picks up the ball and rolls it on now towards Aaron Moy, just outside the centre circle. Moy looks ahead of him, looks for some movement. He has some from Polens, and Polens lifts the ball down the touchline to try and use the pace of Apia Kubi, who shoulder to shoulder goes with Joshua Rose, and Apia Kubi felt that he just nudged into Joshua Rose enough then to knock him onto the ball and won a corner for his side, but the referee and the linesman disagreed with that one. But we are seeing more and more of Apia Kubi, and the pace that he's got as well. He has got electric pace.
Yeah, he has. You know, as a defender, if you keep knocking balls over the top, you've got to almost anticipate it, so you start moving 2 or 3 yards back, which gives you more time in front to go and get the ball. So it's a tactic. You're not just lumping the ball up the other end of the ground.
coming together of Minister Joski and Jerome Polens. The referee again waves play on, and there really haven't been many stoppages in this game so far. 1 minute of stoppage time played at the end of the first half. It's been played at 100 miles an hour, and it's showing no signs of abating as Moy plays it forward towards Ono. Some space now for the Wanderers to get forward. Apiakubi on the right hand side has got some room in front of him. Instead he goes for the quick cross, which Matt Ryan comes out and plucks above his head and takes very comfortably. That'll be frustrating because Apiakubi, then you would have thought, head down, run down towards the byline, run to the penalty box. There was space in front of him, and it was basically 4-on-4.
Spot on, 1-on-1, as you say, get to the byline, cross it back, so anybody running forward just has to get their nut on it. Once you play a ball forward diagonal, it's very difficult to head a ball on and hit the target. Mind you, he's done a terrific job so far, hasn't he?
Oh, absolutely.
Apiakubi, I'm talking about. Absolutely.
As he's stepped up and filled in for the missing, suspended Youssef Hersey this afternoon. We've had 62 minutes here. It's 1-0 to the Central Coast Mariners here at the Sydney Football Stadium. A pulsating football stadium this afternoon. Absolutely sold out for this game between the Western Sydney Wanderers and the Central Coast Mariners, and you're listening to it on ABC at local radio across New South Wales, Queensland and the ACT, and on Grandstand Digital and on the World Wide Web, wherever you are, be that in a hotel room in Berlin or somewhere else. As the ball's played forward by the Mariners, Stojowski, nice touch, turns, has a shot on goal, just can't quite keep it down. Great first touch from him, lobbed it over Michael Beecham's head, and as he was waiting for it to drop, hammered away a right foot strike. Went just over the bar from Ante Kovic, and Miles Stojowski, who's had a very good game for me this afternoon.
He's sitting on that shoulder, isn't he, of the last defender, and one ball over the top. I'm surprised he's winning every foot race at the moment, but he is really causing some trouble. So Central Coast have got it sussed out wide. They don't have to play through the middle. How many times have you mentioned Hutchinson's name? He's cruising in the middle of the park. He doesn't have to do anything because the ball's not there. He's very composed. He's standing in front of Kressinger.
Well, we now have the ball with Nikolai Topor-Stanley. So if you missed the stat at half-time, it was 51% to 49% to 59% possession to 41% Wanderers, 59% Mariners at the end of the first half. It's equalled up a little bit, 44% now the Wanderers, but they haven't got the ball at the moment. That is with the Mariners, although they've briefly won it back. Mateo Poljak not quite under control. Eventually they now get a foot on the ball and play it back towards Michael Beecham, and Beecham goes across the back line and plays it on towards Jerome Polens. Polens on it goes again towards Michael Beecham. 64 minutes played, 1-0 to the Mariners. We're going to see a substitution coming up very shortly, I think, from the Wanderers, which I'll tell you about shortly, as Shinji Ono goes running forward, and sliding across the back is Trent Sainsbury, and he knocks the ball behind for a corner kick to the Western Sydney Wanderers. And Amanda, some movement down there on the Western Sydney Wanderers bench.
Yeah, Labano Haliti is looking like he's ready to come on very shortly.
As a corner kick, Shinji Ono will take it. Everybody is back for the Mariners inside their penalty box. Ono turns in swinger with his right foot, lifts it into the box, not cleared up well, played away eventually by Joshua Rose, but back out to the sideline by Poljak. There was some appeals for an offside, but Ono was onside. He plays it on the overlap to Shannon Cole. Cole under the crossbar and hooked over the bar by Matt Ryan. He's not the biggest of goalkeepers. He had to make sure then, and just a big air hook then to knock the ball over the crossbar.
Yeah, he couldn't afford to push that in the direction the ball was coming over to him, could he? Get it out for a corner, because there were red and black shirts lining up behind him,
including that one of Dino Kresinger. And Shinji Ono runs across to the sideline down in front of us to take this corner kick, and salutes the Wanderers fans. There's a pocket of them down there. Ono takes it right-footed. Not a great delivery though to the edge of the 6-yard box. It's comfortably headed away by McBreen. On to Polens. Polens gets away from Abini. Wants to slide it in towards Apiakubi, and he can't do it. Comes back off the legs of Abini, and this is a chance now for the Mariners to break. It's John Hutchinson, fresh legs, running downfield. He's got Bernie Abini outside him on the left. Abini away down the left-hand flank. Wanderers have got bodies back in behind the ball now, and they've closed down that attack. It's back with Abini once more. Abini gets nudged off the ball by Mateo Poljak, and the referee says that's a free kick. And so the Mariners can play the ball away, and I think we will see that substitution that Amanda Shalala was telling us about. Labano Haliti will come on, and he will come on to replace Dino Kresinger. Now that is an interesting substitution. Different style of players, and so the way they want to play is that's marked out very clearly now. Haliti a little bit more pacey, and not quite the aerial threat of Dino Krasniar, but Krasniar's been quiet in the second half. They haven't been lumping the ball long to him in the air, and so therefore try something different. Yeah,
it was just a straight swap. Haliti's gone right in the middle, standing next to Sainsbury and Spijnswijk, so it's going to be, I can't imagine that it's going to be a lot of build-up, because you've got to use Haliti's pace. You've got to play the ball along the floor. And remember, he scored against the Central Coast Mariners when they won 1-0 up in Gosford.
It was him as a long ball played forward towards Daniel McBreen, who scored last weekend. Lobs the ball up in the air over Beecham, trying to bring it under control, hasn't done. Appeals for a handball, and the referee has pointed to the penalty spot then, as Michael Beecham looked to bring that ball away from Daniel McBreen. The ball caught his arm, the ref points to the spot. It's a penalty kick to the Central Coast Mariners, and an opportunity for them with 66 minutes on the clock to make it 2-0 in the A-League Grand Final.
You know, he was unlucky there. He was running away with the ball. It was right in front of him. It's bounced up a little bit more than he should. He was just had his arms out for balance, and it's hit his right forearm.
It just flashed up on the big screen then and flashed off just before the referee showed it, but it did hit his arm. There's no question about that at all. Daniel McBreen is the man charged with the task and the responsibility of taking this penalty kick, as unfortunately a flare comes onto the field, which Shannon Cole runs across himself, takes control of, and throws it back over the advertising hoarding. So the Wanderers players taking control of that situation there. Now McBreen is ready to take the penalty kick. He did score his last opportunity from the penalty spot. He's scored 18 goals in the league this season. He's now got a chance as he steps up, left foot strike, sends Kovic the wrong way, makes absolutely no mistake, Daniel McBreen, and he runs across to celebrate down by the corner flag in front of the Wanderers fans. And a bit of stuff being thrown onto the field, unfortunately, at where Daniel McBreen is celebrating. But McBreen has a second goal for the Central Coast Mariners, and they are edging ever closer to a first A-League Grand Final victory and a first A-League Premiership. 68 on the clock, the Wanderers 0, the Mariners 2.
He scored an absolute cracker against Melbourne Victory last week, belted it with his left foot, and that was travelling at the same speed. You know that it was a penalty when no red and black shirts went over to the referee and started arguing.
And McBreen has missed 2 penalties this season, but he was never going to do it in the game that matters most.
That was a very confidently struck penalty kick. Now, what have the Wanderers got in their tank? They haven't been tested this much this season. Not many teams have been tested so much as being 2 goals down against the Central Coast Mariners and having to come back against them. And certainly not many have managed to do so, as Bernie Abini does some good tackling back and nudges the ball away from Kwabena Appiah-Kubi, and the ball goes out over the line for a goal kick for the Mariners. We've got 21 minutes of regular time left to play here at the Sydney Football Stadium this afternoon. I'm also been told that the attendance here this afternoon is 42,102, the largest ever for any National League football game in New South Wales. So that's a fine attendance here this afternoon. Doesn't obviously top the 55,000 they had down in Melbourne a couple of years ago for a Melbourne Victory Grand Final. But it's still not a shabby attendance by any stretch of the imagination for a club based up in Gosford, and a club that didn't exist pretty much this time last year, as Appiah-Kubi has the ball nudged away from him by Joshua Rose, and the ball goes out over the sideline for a throw into the Mariners, which Rose takes, throws it back towards Zwanswijk. Patrick Zwanswijk, the scorer of the first goal here this afternoon on 42 minutes, looks to bring the ball away, drives it downfield. Nikolai Topol-Stanley gets in front of McBreen, can't bring the ball under control, and McBreen does some great work getting away from him. And again McBreen gets away from the sliding challenge of Topol-Stanley, and there's a very strong tackle coming back in from Michael Beecham. Michael Beecham furious after that. I'm not sure if that was to do with the way that McBreen followed through on that challenge, and there's a few words had between the pair of them as they pass alongside each other.
Yeah, look, McBreen hung his boot out there. You could see the underside of his boot, and when Beecham was going to belt it, he almost put it in the second row of the stand, which is a long way. If he'd have followed through with that onto the boot, we could have had some hospital work to do.
Long ball played for McBreen, trying to get on the end of it, and he clashes into Kovic. He could be in a bit of trouble here. Daniel McBreen gets a yellow card from the referee, it looked very, very clumsy, and it did not look good at all. He's just been involved in one altercation. He went running through. Kovic had the ball in hands already, and he followed through and caught him. He slipped. Just looking at it again, he twisted on the turf a little bit and crashed into Ante Kovic, and he earns himself a yellow card, McBreen. And a bit of feeling developing in this game now with 19 minutes left on the clock. Kwabena Apiakubi has gone off, and Tariq Elrich is the man who's come on to replace him.
Well, they've got three up front now, the Wanderers. They've got Bridge out on the left, Haliti down the middle, and they've got Elric on the right-hand side. So they are really going for this. I can imagine there's going to be balls over the top, try and turn the fullbacks around, because it's not working through the middle of the park. And Pollens and Cole are finding it difficult to get forward as well.
Shinji Ono drops back onto the halfway line to pick up the ball for the Wanderers, and it goes back towards Beecham and on towards Tariq Elrich. They're all having to work hard to get the ball. This is another impressive performance from the Central Coast Mariners. When are they not? As Moy plays it forward in towards Mark Bridge, who's beaten to the ball. Moy wins it back though, skips away from a couple of challenges. He's got Shannon Cole in space on the left, three red and black shirts to aim at in the middle. If Cole can get across into him, he can't. It's nudged away from him by McGlinchey, who's bobbed up on the right hand side of the field at the moment. In fact, McGlinchey and Abini have done a bit of a swap on the right and left hand side of the field, as thought it was a temporary one, but they've been there for a little while now, and we are going to see a substitution here with Mile Stojovski leaving the field of play to a rapturous reception here from the home supporters. Not the home supporters, but like the home supporters around us at the moment. The Central Coast Mariners fans all stand to their feet to applaud Mile Stojovski as he leaves the field of play. And Amanda, you're right in the middle of all of that.
There might not be many of the Mariners supporters, but they are making themselves heard. They are showing how much this means to them. It will be massive for Central Coast if they can go on and do it. Their supporters have been all the way behind them. And Mile Stojovski, he's had an excellent game, and he's really put the Mariners in such a good position.
Yeah, outstanding for me this afternoon, Mile Stojovski, as he takes his place on the bench. The Wanderers have the ball with Shannon Cole, and it's played away from the touchline from Cole, and the Mariners try and win it back. It's with McBreen, nudged away from McBreen and out over the touchline for a throw-in on the left-hand flank for the Wanderers, which Shannon Cole takes. He throws it back to the feet of Nikolai Topor-Stanley, and Topor-Stanley across the back line to Mateo Poljak. He's being closed down by Mitchell Duke, who's got some pace. Then Elric tried to cushion a ball down into the path of Jerome Pollens. Josh Rose gets the ball caught under his feet, and Elric has it. He gets it caught under his feet, but then prods one through towards Pollens. Pollens tries to feed it back in towards Labano Haliti, and Trent Sainsbury gets there. Haliti made the challenge. It goes out over the touchline for a throw-in to the Mariners, and a chance for them to get that ball away. Time ticking away for the Wanderers. They need a goal soon, Paul Wade.
Well, absolutely. You know what? Trent Sainsbury, they're all talking about him going overseas, and he is beautifully balanced at the moment. When he has to win it, he does. And when he doesn't, he's always balancing on his other defenders. But what Western Sydney do now, they can't drop back anymore. They can't hit him on the counter-attack. There's not enough speed up front apart from Haliti. He's going to need a little bit of help. I can't see it coming from any. But Zanuck is having a great time. Hutchinson's having a great time in midfield.
Yeah, they've had a fairly easy ride in the centre of midfield this afternoon. They haven't really been tussling away for the ball too much. As a long ball played downfield in towards Mitchell Duke. Pollens brings it under control at the second attempt and then lifts it downfield. Tariq Elrich just keeps it in play and turns it infield. A bit of speculator really, but it's played on towards Haliti. Haliti plays it back to him, and he can't keep that one in place. It goes out for a throw-in, much to the delight of the Mariners fans here, as Joshua Rose will take that level with the top of the penalty area. They lead by 2-0 with just over a quarter of an hour to play here on ABC local radio across New South Wales, Queensland and the ACT. If you want to get in touch, send us an SMS on 0467 920 222. Ball is with Topor-Stanley. He has the ball on the back line, gives it on to Shannon Cole, and just no real room for the Wanderers to work in. Played forward by Moy now towards the fluorescent yellow boots of Tariq Elrich. He goes on towards Jerome Pollens. Pollens spins away from the challenge of Abini, does well, gives it into Elrich. Elrich from a sliding challenge from Hutchinson. Lifts the ball in towards goal. Shouldn't have done that. He had players, plenty of options all around him, and I'm not quite sure what he was intending then. I think he felt he'd been fouled just before it. He still had the ball at his feet, and rather than just laying it off to one of his teammates, went for a speculator shot at goal, which was very comfortably dealt with by Matt Ryan. And balls back with Sainsbury, very cool head under pressure. Ball at his feet then. Labano Haliti bearing down on him. Just a little dip of the hips and went off to his right as a strong challenge goes in from Shannon Cole, who isn't happy that he doesn't win the throw-in. It's given the way of the Central Coast Mariners. And I think, Amanda, there's another substitution and possibly the final roll of the dice from the Wanderers.
Yeah, Jerome Pollens is coming off. Rocky Visconti will be coming on. So Pollens has done well to last this long, considering he had to pull out midway through last week's game with that quad injury.
Well, I think that's... I know we'll see Tariq Elrich having to push back in and play that right-back position.
Yeah.
And Rocky Visconti will play a little further forward. He did score an excellent goal, Rocky Visconti, up in Newcastle. As caught in possession now is Trent Sainsbury, and Mark Bridge was getting away from him. There's an appeal for an offside, not given. Haliti into the box, still going forward, and it cannons in towards Matt Ryan in the 6-yard box. And then it's played away by the Mariners goalkeeper out towards the touchline to McGlinchey. McGlinchey gets it under control, and Mateo Poljak stands in his way, gets the ball back for the Wanderers. Then it's fed downfield, looking to pick up Visconti. It's knocked away from him. On the touchline, Visconti gets a challenge on him now from Pej Bowic, and the ball goes out over the touchline off the legs of Rocky Visconti and out for a throw-in for the Central Coast Mariners. 77 minutes on the clock. Goals from Patrick Zvansvijk and a penalty from Daniel McBreen in the second half of the Mariners in front here. But the Wanderers pushing on now, and Moy needs to interchange of passes with Mark Bridge, almost found a way through the centre of the park. They're just holding on to possession here, the Western Sydney Wanderers. It's with Shinji Ono, pops up on the left, feeds the ball into the middle, looking for Labano Haliti. Haliti tried to get in behind Sainsbury, appeals for an offside, not given. And so the Wanderers regroup and start to attack again. Thrown forward to Visconti down the left-hand flank. He cuts in field and tries to get away from Sainsbury on the far-hand side of the field. And again, brought down. In fact, it's Pej Bowic, I think, who the referee penalises for that. And a good chance to deliver the ball into the middle. The Wanderers getting to that stage where they need a goal.
Well, both of these sides are very, very fit. In fact, the fittest in the A-League. I would probably put the Central Coast ahead of that, but we are going to see now how fit they are.
They will be put under some pressure. We've got standing over the ball Shinji Ono and Aaron Moy. Ono lifts it in towards the back post. Topple Stanley beaten to the ball by Sainsbury. Cole brings it down on his chest. May get away from one challenge. Still going forward. Shannon Cole just couldn't quite get the ball to get out from under his toes. Ran all the way through, down towards the goal line, and then actually ran over the goal line to pick the ball up himself and puts it down for Matt Ryan to take the goal kick. Nothing much more he could have done than Shannon Cole. He's come across to the right-hand side of the field now, Shannon Cole, and well, it's interesting if it's worth putting a formation on the Western Sydney Wanderers at the moment, but Cole's bobbed up on the right. They've got a pretty much 5 men pushed forward at the moment, and a back three of Elric Beecham and Nikolai Topol Stanley. Beecham it is who wins it in the air, flicked on by Bridge into Haliti, in behind the defenders. Can he get into the box with the ball? He can't. Zvansvijk gets back and then nudges it away from him. Zvansvijk got a lucky break too, as his clearance almost went into the path of Shinji Ono. It cannoned off and went back into the feet of the big Dutchman. He plays it forward now. It's with McGlinchey. McGlinchey onto Mitchell Duke. Duke tries to get across into the middle. That one bounces back off the feet of Beecham. Goes out for a throw-in on the right-hand side of the field, and that's all the Mariners need to do. Get the ball away, get on the break down the other end, and play position.
Yep, they've got their back four all lined up, ready to go, and they've got 2 in front of that back four who are willing to work hard, so there are no shots coming in. But yeah, look, they've only left one up front. Mitchell Duke now is the one who's been left up there. If he can keep hold of the ball, even if it's just for a minute, 30 seconds, it just gives everyone a breather.
They are being put under some pressure at the moment. The Wanderers come again. It's with Ono. Ono across the back line into the feet of Mateo Poljak. Onto Aaron Moy. Moy forward to Shannon Cole. Cole needs to get his head up and play the ball to feet. He does so now to the feet of Tariq Elric. Onto Aaron Moy. Moy lifts across into the middle, and Trent Sainsbury climbs beautifully to head that ball away. Topple Stanley plays it back in, comes off the head of Shinji Ono, doesn't go where Ono expected it to go, and he goes behind for a goal kick. And it's the 80th minute of the game, so we're seeing the Poznan taking place all around the stadium from the Wanderers fans, who are still enjoying their day out, despite the fact they're trailing by 2-0 with only 10 minutes to go here at the Sydney Football Stadium.
You keep talking and I'm going to take a little bit of vision of this. This is so special. Wow.
Yeah, it is amazing. It is an amazing scene here for a side who are as I say, training in this game is a bit of a clash of heads there with Michael Beecham and Daniel McBreen as the two came together. They're continuing on. The referee, again, I have to say, has done an excellent job here this afternoon and letting play continue, Peter Green, as the ball played downfield, and this time Mark Bridge caught in an offside position. But, yeah, full credit to Peter Green for the way he's let this game flow.
Terrific. Yeah, thank goodness we've got a referee who realises it's a game of football, it's physical, it's passionate. Sure, it's mistimed, but as long as you understand it, the difference between mistimed and malicious, players appreciate it.
Well, I'm sure the Central Coast fans appreciate the scoreline at the moment. They're in front by 2-0, close on ending a run of 3 grand final defeats, although they're not out of the woods yet. Ball played forward by Shinji Ono, cut out by Trent Sainsbury, who has not really put a foot wrong all afternoon. Once or twice almost got caught in possession, but nothing that's cost his team at all so far, and a few vital interventions like that one then to end the attack from Ono. It's with Bazanic, who was caught in possession then, caught dawdling a little bit by Shannon Cole. He plays a ball cross field and Ono stepped out the way of it, and Pedge Bowick picked the ball up instead and nudged it forward. The Mariners surge on now with McGlinchey down the right. He tries to play to Pedge Bowick on the overlap. That's just the sort of ball you want in the 82nd minute of the grand final when you've been running up and down all day. There's another ball 20 metres in front of you to run onto, and Pedge Bowick, even he, who is one of the fittest players there is in the A-League, had to give up that one and let it run through for a goal kick. As Kovic drives it downfield, Sainsbury takes it down on his chest. No airs and graces about that one though, plays it away downfield. It's picked up by Beecham. Offside flag goes up, it's taken quickly by Michael Beecham now, and he rolls it on towards Aaron Moy. Moy over the halfway line to Tariq Elridge. We've seen some spectacular finales in grand finals in recent years. Are we going to see something else here? It'll need to be from the Western Sydney Wanderers. We've got 82.5 minutes on the clock here. Quick throw into the middle. Shannon Cole, ball across the face of goal, headed away. Might drop for Poljak. Poljak lifts it forward. Shannon Cole's got to be in an offside position, you'd think there. Keeps the ball in play though, not offside. He's got Haliti, he's got Elrikin behind him, and another ball on the pitch as well. Now Aaron Moy picks up the ball. Moy turns down towards the right hand flank. Elric wants the ball played into his feet. It goes into the feet of to Abini instead, and then it's played away by the Mariners. A poor ball forward by Abini, picked out by Beecham, and a chance for the Wanderers to surge forward again. They go down the right hand touchline with Tariq Elric. His ball into the middle doesn't quite reach Mark Bridge. Then Pedge Bowick lets it slide across him, but it doesn't make it to Rocky Visconti. Now Poljak has the ball. He's shoved off it by McGlinchey, and another opportunity in an attacking position for the Western Sydney Wanderers. John Hutchinson argues the toss with the referee, but I don't think that's going to change his mind one little bit there. This is a good chance now for the Wanderers, but it's a fairly obvious thing when you see them, but they've got to start taking these chances. They're running out of time to get. They don't need one goal, they need 2 goals to send this game into extra time. They need to score, and need to score soon.
I think it's a bit too far out from goal to have a crack. You've got Beecham and Topper Stanley hovering at the far post. One dink over the top to the corner of the 6-yard box. There could be a chance.
Ono standing over it, as is Aaron Moy. Moy might fancy a crack from here. He does have a shot, and it sails over the bar. That wasn't the greatest strike on goal then from Aaron Moy. You know, credit to a player who's willing to take a shot on goal at that stage in the game, but you really want to be hitting the target, at least forcing a save from the goalkeeper. That wasn't needed on that occasion, and we've got 5.5 minutes left to play here at the Sydney Football Stadium. The Central Coast Mariners lead this game by 2-0. They've lost 3 grand finals before, and they're now on course to finally win one. Long ball played downfield by Matt Ryan. Tariq Elric nudged off the ball by Mitchell Duke, and Duke does enough to make Elric chase back, make the challenge, knock the ball over the line, and it's a corner kick to the Central Coast Mariners. Their 6th of the evening so far, and a chance for the defenders for the Mariners to take a bit of a breather and spend some time in the Wanderers' half. It's the Mariners fans who are in fine voice at the moment. Noise all around the stadium. Scoreline doesn't matter that much, everyone's singing them anyway. Ball into the middle, into Kovic, straight into his arms. He bowls it out underarm very quickly. A chance now for the Wanderers to break at pace. In from Bridge, onto Moy. He's got Cole on the right-hand touchline. Ono makes a run into the middle. Haliti's there, Moy's there. Cole with the cross, takes a deflection. Might drop for Moy, tries to bring it down. Knocked away from him then. He couldn't be dawdling. He needed to take that shot at goal as Cole gets away from the challenge from Abini. Abini brings him down. Another free kick to the Western Sydney Wanderers, right-hand edge of the field. What can they conjure up here? They need to do something and do it soon, as the official party is making its way around in front of the Mariners fans. Away to our right, I can see David Gallup, the CEO of the FFA, walking around there as part of that presentation group. So time is ticking on here. Moy will take this free kick. Lifts it into the box. Good delivery. Nodded clear at the back post by Daniel McBreen, and a throw in on the left-hand side for the Western Sydney Wanderers. Still though, pinned back in their own half, the Central Coast Mariners. Back it goes towards Mateo Poljak. Will drag back on the ball, gives it to Nikolai Topor-Stanley. Plenty of players still forward for the Wanderers. On to Moy. Moy almost caught in possession from Mitchell Duke, who's done a good job since he came off the bench. Chased and harried and hassled the Wanderers players and not given them any time on the ball. They're looking to fashion something down the left-hand touchline. They can't do so at the moment. It rolls out over the touchline, and that's a move breaking down for the Wanderers, and the Mariners get the ball, and they have a chance now to make the substitution as well.
Yeah, Michael McGlinchey coming off. Nick Fitzgerald is the substitute. Incredible scenes here, Ned. The Mariners are 3 minutes away from exercising all of those grand final demons. What a scene we'll see here in 3 minutes' time if the scoreline remains this way.
Well, they did sort of get pretty close a couple of years ago, if you remember, against the Brisbane Roar. Amazing. Exactly. So I'm sure they're not quite counting the chickens just yet, but huge noise still around the stadium from the Wanderers fans, who have made the most of their day out here. To be honest, if you were one of the 4,000 who watched their first trial game of the season when there were 6 players signed on, you probably didn't think you'd be here, one of 42,000 at the Sydney Football Stadium at the A-League Grand Final, even though they're 2-0 down. Bernie Abini goes charging forward, looking to try and make it 3, feeds it into the path of Fitzgerald. His first touch isn't great, and it goes, just keeps it in play, rolls it on down to Ante Kovic, and Kovic will look to get it away quickly, bowls it out underarm towards Mateo Poljak, who's caught in possession, nudged away from him though, and picked up by Nikolai Topor-Stanley. Topor-Stanley on it goes towards Aaron Moy, and Moy on towards Tariq Elric. Run down the touchline by Mark Bridge. Needs to have a good first touch here. Does. Brings it down to Shannon Cole. Onto Poljak in the centre of the park. Back to Moy. The Mariners, everybody back behind the ball at the moment. Tariq Elric in a bit of space. Moy goes cross-field, plays it to Bridge. Bridge has space. Right foot cross. Hung into the air. A little nudge in the back of Haliti. The offside flag goes up against Haliti. And so a chance for the Mariners to play that away. Well, couldn't have been a lot in that, I don't think, but it was a good move again. A bit of patient build-up play from the Wanderers, but they've only got a minute and a half now, regular time, before we reach 90 minutes.
How good was that ball from Moy from the middle of the park? 40 yards? Out to Bridge, great ball in. I thought Haliti got a bit of a nudge too. It'd be interesting if he hadn't been offside, But the Mariners are riding comfortably here. Honestly, I don't think that, despite the amount of possession that Western Sydney have got, I think they're all composed. They know exactly what they're doing defensively.
I think that was the point I was making about saying about the goal, needing it a few minutes before just to give them a bit of time with one goal in it to really get them worried. But with the 2-goal cushion, they do look like they are going to ride this one out at the moment. With a minute left on the clock, that ball headed back in by Pej Boric. They do like to take the risk every now and again, and passing it out of their own 18-yard box at the moment. Anywhere will do for the Mariners at the moment. They've given the ball away, though, trying to pass it out. Mateo Poljak trying to win it back, but Bozanic holds onto it, plays it in field. Nudged on from him towards Mitchell Duke. McBreen, he's got Abini making a run on the overlap. He stays onside just. Tariq Elric has got some pace as well. He runs back, picks up the ball and feeds it on to Ante Kovic. Kovic side puts it away, but McBreen will pick that one up on his chest. Beecham plays it away from him. Topor-Stanley takes it off the end of McBreen's toe as he was bursting into the box. The scorer of the penalty for the Central Coast Mariners, their second goal of the afternoon. And now it's played on by Moy. Moy for Haliti. Haliti first touch into the box. Can't get the shot away. Goes to ground. Looks up at the referee. Thinks he was fouled. The referee doesn't. And the referee hasn't got an awful lot wrong so far here this afternoon. There's 3 minutes of stoppage time. 3 minutes before the Central Coast Mariners will be named as the premiers of the A-League for season 2012-2013. And just watching that challenge again then, there wasn't a lot of contact from Sainsbury on the ball. However, it wasn't a particularly strong challenge either on Labino Haliti. It would have been a fairly harsh penalty had the referee decided to award it, but it would have made it exciting.
Yeah, Haliti's still got his hands on his head thinking, you're kidding, how did I not get that one? But I think it's just, it falls into line with everything else that Peter Green's done today. You're going to have to pretty much be kicked before he'll give a free kick.
Yeah, consistency is what you want from referees. He's been consistent. A good game for the referee. Happy to give credit where credit is due this afternoon. Credit too to the Central Coast Mariners. They have been excellent here this afternoon against the Western Sydney Wanderers. The last side to beat, the Western Sydney Wanderers, have done it again. They beat them in Sydney in early January by the scoreline of 2-0. And it's the current scoreline of 2-0 as well here as we head into the remainder of stoppage time here. Mateo Poljak lifts one forward. The Wanderers are still pushing forward and still trying to get themselves on the score sheet here in this grand final. But at the moment, there's a chance for the Mariners. Bernie Abini goes forward down the left-hand flank. He's got a couple of red and black shirts in front of him, but he gets away from Mateo Poljak, who's run himself into the ground this afternoon. Abini lifts it cross field. Might drop for Fitzgerald. Header on target. Kovic got away to his left and got hands on the ball. Well, that would have sealed the deal. It looks like the job's pretty much done anyway, but Ante Kovic got across and held on to the football. Stoppage time being played here in the A-League Grand Final. 2-0, the Mariners lead. They're about to win the A-League Grand Final at the 4th attempt. They get the ball on the halfway line and near the halfway line with skipper John Hutchinson. Hutchinson back towards Pej Buric. He plays it forward and now it'll drop there from Mateo Poljak, who will go forward. The Wanderers still keep trying to push forward to get something out of this game, but salvage something to get on the score sheet here this afternoon. That's all they can do. Graham Arnold thinks the ball went out over the touchline. The whistle is in the mouth of the referee, Peter Green, at the moment, but still hasn't been blown yet. It's back with the Mariners, the ball. Oliver Bozanic has it. He goes cross field. He gives it to Josh Rose. Drives it into the centre circle. Poljak picks it up. Aaron Moy has it now. Still appealing and wanting the ball as Labino Haliti on the edge of the box. They desperately want a goal out of this game, the Western Sydney Wanderers. Looks like it'll be too little too late. It's with Shannon Cole now. Cole fizzes it into the box and spectacular clearance by McBreen. It drops from Mateo Poljak, edge of the area, lifts it into the box and Mark Bridge can't bring it under control. Bernie Abini lifts it up over the halfway line. Michael Beecham gets possession of the football just about in the centre circle. That's the final whistle at the Sydney Football Stadium, and that's the moment that the Central Coast Mariners have finally got their hands on the toilet seat, the trophy to be awarded at the end of the A-League Grand Final. They've done so deservedly today. They've been up there all season. They lost top spot on the A-League ladder to the side that they've got revenge on this afternoon. But they are worthy champions on their performance throughout the year, their performance since the competition was launched, and their performance at the Sydney Football Stadium in front of more than 42,000 fans this afternoon. Patrick Zvansberg, at 38 years of age, headed them in front just before half-time, and Daniel McBreen got the second from a penalty spot, a deserved penalty, a handball from Jerome Polent, and that was enough for the Central Coast Mariners to seal the grand final here in front of a passionate crowd. The Wanderers fans are still going off and still making their noise, but there's a little bit more heartfelt celebration from the Central Coast Mariners and those who have travelled down the F3 into Sydney today to see their side finally seal the deal. A frustrating side to follow over the past few years. They've won the Premiers, played a couple of times, but they've not managed to do it on Grand Final day. Finally they have. They've done so convincingly. They've beaten the Western Sydney Wanderers by 2-0.
Well, you know what? I don't give coaches a lot of credit for a performance because he's not the one out there. But tactically, Graham Arnold has had an absolute cracker. He has worked that out like you would not believe. Tactically, he had players all over the place in midfield. Out wide, he got players in behind their fullbacks. It was tactically genius.
You can't really fault anything from the Mariners here this afternoon. You can go through their side from back to front all the way through. Everybody's done their job. Everyone knows their job as well under Graham Arnold. They've been doing it for a while now. You've also got to give a lot of credit to Graham Arnold for the way he's prepared his side for today. Something stuck in my mind from last weekend when they beat Melbourne victory by a goal to nil was Joshua Rose saying to me, this time last year I was exhausted. I hadn't really got anything left in my legs. This year I'm fresh, I'm ready to go. Since the Wanderers beat them up at Gosford, Graham Arnold has said, all right, if we lose the minor premiership, that's one thing. We will focus now on the grand final and we will try and win that instead. And that's exactly what they've done. And what a day to do it on as well. It's been a beautiful day here in Sydney, fantastic conditions at the football stadium, and the Wanderers fans in defeat have really added to the occasion as well. We are looking around the stadium at the moment. Everybody has scarves held aloft above their head in the red and black. There's just non-stop ecstatic flag waving from the Mariners fans, but the Wanderers fans are still all here. They've stood solid right the way through this game. The red and black bloc, who have been sensational, probably in there for player of the year this year in a lot of ways. They may have had some critics for one or two things that have gone on this season, but the supporters from Western Sydney have really added to this competition this year, and they're doing it once again at the moment inside the Sydney Football Stadium on grand final day. Just a sensational day out, and I'm delighted for the Central Coast Mariners after so long to finally get their hands on the trophy.
Look, they nullified one key player, didn't they? Shinji Ono. And part of that was because they wouldn't let the ball get to him, but when he got to him, he had 2 or 3 players surrounding him, and nobody was marking him one-on-one. They were just so well drilled as to who should go when. Who knows? I wonder if Hersey had been out there. I've got to mention this, 17 games without defeat. Hersey, and he wasn't playing today.
We've got just under a minute, but I think Amanda Shalala may be able to get a play very shortly. They've finally broken from the field. Now Amanda's down on the field, and hopefully Amanda will get someone to talk to see if someone will stop and have a word at the moment.
Yes, I've got Bernie Abini with me. Bernie, can you just sum up this moment, what it means to you?
What a feeling. I can't believe it. The boys have done great all year, and to top it off with the grand final, it's absolutely amazing.
How special is it for this club to finally achieve a grand final win after all the past hurt?
Oh, definitely 4th time lucky. So, it's an unbelievable feeling, and I'm sure the boys will enjoy this moment.
We'll go on and celebrate it. Thanks, Bernie.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Amanda. I'll leave you down there in the throng of the Mariners players who are now celebrating with their own fans. Almost done here. Look, thanks to everyone who's been a part of this tonight. Amanda Shalala on the field, and Paul Wade has been fantastic all year for the ABC. Josh Craig and Patrick in the studio as well. It's been a pleasure all year. The Mariners are the grand final champions for 2013.
The World Game is here.
Sam Kerr puts the ball into the back of the net.
The FIFA Women's World Cup 2023. Live and commercial-free coverage on radio and on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the World Cup button.